and the late-inning heroics that made this season so special
Giambi wins it with a home run in the bottom of the ninth.
will all be for nothing. This is the American League Wild Card Game.
Yes, sir. Postseason baseball is back in Cleveland. The 2013 American League Wild Card presented by Budweiser. Progressive Field sold out, rocking and rolling once again. And tonight, a one-game playoff. The Tampa Bay Rays surviving in Texas against the Cleveland Indians. And everybody, we welcome you from Progressive Field. Great to have you with us. Brian Anderson, John Smoltz, Joe Simpson. This place is rocking and rolling, and we're excited for this one-game elimination playoff. It's the second ever wild card game in baseball history. It's the third straight night we have an elimination game, John, on TBS. And let's start with the Indians. They step into the spotlight tonight. This is a ball club that lost over 90 games last year, an amazing turnaround, and here they are back in the postseason.
And they're the hottest team in baseball, and they're doing it with their manager, Terry Francona. And what they do, on paper, it doesn't look great. Not a 15-game winner, not a 100 RBI guy, and they just do all the little things to win. And when they've done, timing is everything. They've dominated September, dominated teams under 500, and oh, by the way, their pitching staff the best in September. Who would have thought that they're going to pin their hopes on a guy who started in Double-A, Danny Salazar? But for the Indians to continue, they have to win their 11th in a row to go face Boston.
Yeah, Danny Salazar making his first career postseason start. Same goes for the Rays starter tonight, Alex Cobb and Joe Simpson. The Rays survived in Texas. They beat the Rangers, and their stars showed up. David Price, the complete game, and Evan Longoria was terrific.
This time of year, Brian, you want your good players to step up. Postseason is here. Well, Evan Longoria did them one better. It wasn't officially the postseason, but a big game in Texas. He had 3 hits, including a home run. Now it's official. It is the postseason. 13 of his 19 postseason hits are for extra base hits. And of those 13, Longoria has 8 home runs. And of those 8 homers, 5 are on the road. He loves this time of year, and the Rays are glad to have him.
Postseason baseball back in Cleveland for the first time since '07. Lineups, first pitch, winner headed to Boston. Just about ready for baseball. Tonight was set for the first pitch. The Rays, the Indians, the winner headed to Boston to take on the Boston Red Sox. Let's check out the batting order brought to you by Budweiser. Evan Longoria is the centerpiece in this lineup for Joe Madden, but he has help all around him, including James Loney. Best road batting average in all of baseball, and the right-handed pitcher's version of this Joe Madden batting order here tonight, and a hard thrower on the mound for the Cleveland Indians. John mentioned he started the year in Double-A. He was fantastic in the final 2 months of the season for the Tribe. Danny Salazar in the biggest start of his career.
Yeah, he says he feels real comfortable on the mound, and he's got an easy delivery, live arm, 95 to 100 miles an hour. I am really looking forward to the matchup between him and Evan Longoria. Last game, Evan Longoria looked locked in, but this guy can make a lot of hitters look really bad, Joe.
Yeah, I saw him in Atlanta pitch a game, and he was terrific. Ball comes out of his hand nice and easy, but who would think that a kid 23 years old, only 52 big league innings, is pitching the wild card game for Cleveland.
Here we go, ready for the first pitch. David DeJesus will lead off for the Rays. And Salazar ready to go. Cleveland is hot, as John mentioned, a 10-game winning streak to end the season. They won 15 of their last 17 ball games, and a 21-6 September to get here as DeJesus sends that one to center field. And back is Michael Bourne. Maybe misjudged that a little bit, but he hauls it in for the out. And that's how the night begins for Salazar. And Joe, let's take a look at the Indians defensively.
There was some question as to whether or not Michael Bourne would play tonight, but they put him through his paces yesterday with a lot of drills. He said he was okay, suffering from a bad wrist. But two good outfielders out there in Brantley and Bourne, to be sure, and Gold Glover and Bourne. Chisenhall, Cabrera, Kipnis, and Swisher around the horn. Cabrera only one error in his last 30 games. Salazar on the mound, and Yan Gomes from Brazil behind the plate.
So many great stories up and down. We'll run through them as we can here on our broadcast tonight. These two teams with very small payrolls and ending up in this wild card game, and the winner with the opportunity to move on, advance into the league division series, waiting on the team that had the best record in baseball, the Boston Red Sox. And there's Joe Madden. Rays surviving the Texas Rangers in that tiebreaker game, number 163 on Monday.
Well, if you're the Rays, there's a count you want to avoid. Most teams do. 0-2. Salazar has given up an .036 batting average. It tells you what kind of stuff he has. He has a great over-the-top curveball and split change. One thing also to look for, as we saw last night, Pittsburgh's crowd was unbelievable. Cleveland's going to be unbelievable. Let's see what kind of tension and anxiety that Salazar feels when he does get to 2 strikes. Does he overthrow? Does he have the touch? Those are always interesting for a young pitcher.
Will Myers takes a 98-mile-an-hour fastball for a strike. The 22-year-old Myers against the 23-year-old Salazar.
Here's an example right here. 2 strikes, crowd's going crazy.
And Myers down on strikes. Salazar with his first K.
Right, and this guy struck out 31% of the batters he faced this year. 65 of the 211 batters he faced, he struck out. That's second in Cleveland history.
He has great stuff. Had nearly 200 strikeouts this year. It's a season that began in Double-A, as John mentioned, ultimately Triple-A, and then to the major leagues. Strikes out about 12 batters per 9 innings. Here's James Loney.
Now, he didn't go much past 6 innings the last few starts. The team didn't score many runs. That's why you see the record so low as it is. But there's no denying the fastball coming out of his hand.
Salazar giving them something to cheer about early in Cleveland. Danny Salazar got him revved up here in Cleveland. Let's check out the batting order brought to you by Budweiser. You saw Michael Bourne. He's back in there. A calf injury, a wrist injury last week. Michael Brantley, though, he's the guy that's been the story. Michael Brantley, the hottest in the lineup. Last 10 games, 381 hitter, a couple of home runs, 9 runs batted in. That's the lineup. Terry Francona puts out. Brought to you by Budweiser. And here is Alex Cobb, 25 years of age, from Vero Beach, Florida, and making his postseason debut. More of a ground ball pitcher. Is born on the first pitch. Skies one to right. That is Will Myers. And that's how Cobb's night begins. And how about the Rays, Joe?
Aside from Baltimore, who also set a major league record for fewest errors, this Rays ball club, 59 errors. Baltimore made 54. That's the only team in Major League Baseball that made fewer errors than did the Rays. Yunel Escobar just 3 errors at shortstop in his last 114 games. Vast improvement for the Rays in the defensive category over last year.
Nick Swisher batting second in Francona's lineup, the switch hitter. And Alex Cobb is the guy just like Salazar. The Rays are very high on him coming up from their system. And he appears for the first time in the playoffs. He's spent parts of 3 seasons in the major leagues, but by far his best, and there was nobody better in the major leagues than Alex Cobb down the stretch.
Yeah, he's been the hottest pitcher. He's got an unorthodox delivery. You see a pause with that leg, firm finish on his fastball, good spike curveball over the top, straight down, a split change, very similar except for the miles per hour between these two pitchers.
And you see that little bit of hesitation, Joe, and that can be very disruptive for the timing of a hitter, and that seems like his MO this season.
Especially if you haven't seen him much. He pitched against Cleveland the first series of the year in Tampa, and he shut him out for 7 1/3 innings, only gave up 4 hits. That was the last time they saw him, so there might be a first time through the order adjustment period, just like there is for the Rays against Salazar.
this motion again. There's the little pause. You usually don't see a guy point his foot. That's kind of a no-no in pitching, but he gets away with it by getting back to a firm left leg. And of course, he commands his pitches. He throws a lot of strikes. And I got to say, when a crowd is this raucous and ready to go, getting that first pitch out was so huge for Alex Cobb.
Swisher able to lay off the breaking ball. He's certainly used to the postseason, to the playoffs with the Yankees most recently, coming here signing a 4-year deal with the Indians. Playoff experience with the White Sox and the A's, and Terry Francona had visions of this organization emerging from the depths in a 90-loss season. I'm not sure he expected it this fast, but he's counting on Swisher to be that kind of player. He's saying that ball hit the ground.
It didn't. I don't believe if you see it live, it didn't hit the ground.
Greg Gibson's the third base umpire. Jose Molina saying he caught the baseball, which would be a strikeout.
This is a split change that goes down. He foul tips it. Let's watch the glove. And at no point does it hit the ground. And there should be some marking on the ball. And they're asking him to look at the ball. And Molina, the catcher, for sure is going to know. And this is one of those tough things right here where the umpires are going to get together. He asked him for the third base umpire, and he specifically said it hit the dirt.
Jerry Davis is the home plate umpire. And he asked for help. The foul tip. Not just a straight swing and miss. That's why there's question here. The third base umpire, Greg Gibson, saying he saw it hit the ground, and that could be a big moment here early in this game.
Well, I'm glad the umpires are getting together.
Me too, and it's odd because typically a home plate umpire might call a catch, and then the hitter complains, and they make an appeal to third base to see if it hit the dirt. This was the other way around. Jerry Davis quickly asked for help.
Now, umpires, especially home plate umpires, on foul tips like that, they're using their ears as much as anything, but there's no way you can hear anything in this venue right now. And Davis raises the thumb. That'll be a strikeout.
Well, good for them. They got it right. They did the right thing in getting together. And now Terry, of course, every manager, when they reverse the call, is just going to come out and talk to him. And let's watch the replay again. Just the foul tip into the glove. Sometimes, as you said, Brian, the sound will indicate certain things. Depending on how he catches it in the glove, too, will create that different sound.
Well, I love the fact that Jose Molina fought for it, too. He wasn't going to give up. Got a dangerous hitter at the plate. They get him struck out. He was fighting like crazy to make sure they didn't have to throw him another pitch.
How about these reactions already? We're in the first inning, just getting started here. Terry Francona getting his money's worth.
But they did the right thing, and I think that's what everybody at home has the ability to see replays. We saw a game on Monday where, you know, it obviously was a trap, but live it's hard to tell. Next year we'll have the system in play where you can obviously challenge a call, appeal. But I like it when the umpires get together and they don't just stick to one person saying I got it the whole way. We encourage them now to get together and get the call right. Do a nice job.
Well, 2 up, 2 down for Cobb. After Salazar lit up the place with a 3 up, 3 down first and 2 strikeouts. And here is Jason Kipnis. And this is the guy that is the pillar of this Cleveland batting order. Their best player overall. Kipnis hit .284 during the regular season, had 17 home runs, drove in 84. And a little tapper. Cobb, a very good athlete, very big play, and that's how his night begins. A 3 up, 3 down inning for these 2 young hurlers. To the second we go. Rays are coming up. sellout crowd in Cleveland, and we head to the second inning. Evan Longoria will lead off for the Rays against Salazar after a 3-up, 3-down first with a couple of strikeouts.
One thing to look for, a fastball pitcher. Tampa has a lot of first pitch fastball home runs. Terry Francona said, do not lay one in there against these guys.
And Longoria swinging away right away, fouls it back. It's interesting that the Rays, Joe, they're a very patient ball club. They do draw a lot of walks, but recently they've been getting after the opposing pitcher early in the game. They've scored a lot of first inning runs, and that was no different in Texas on Monday.
Well, they've been kind of in a sudden death situation for about a week. They couldn't afford to sit around. But I think if this were a regular season game in the middle of the year, they may be a lot more patient against Salazar, wanting to see the ball out of his hand because they haven't faced him before. They don't have that luxury tonight.
Well, with Salazar will make you look at like on your TV viewer at home, it'll look like the bat is swinging underwater. That's how much finish he's got on his fastball.
John, he's not a max effort guy either. I mean, it's not like he's falling all over the mound.
No, it's amazing. He's coming off of Tommy John surgery in 2010. They've kind of worked his way up to this.
Now he has held the Rays scoreless in the first, which is a victory, a small victory early. Tampa Bay scoring in the first inning in 4 straight games, 6 of their last 7. They scored 6 runs in the first inning against Toronto that helped them get to the tiebreaker, and then took the early lead on Texas and took that big crowd out of Rangers ballpark in Arlington. Anything but here tonight. Nice block by Gomes to secure the strikeout at first. 3 straight Ks for Danny Salazar. And let's check in with a 4th member of our team, Rachel Nichols. Terry Francona knows his pitcher better than anybody, so he's ready for this kind of night.
Yeah, absolutely. Made that somewhat of a gamble to go with a rookie who's been with his club less than 2 months, but he told me it's because this kid is just so calm with the mound, and you want to know the ice in Salazar's veins. He made his first start with the Indians this summer. It was a 1 o'clock game. Well, at noon, he still wasn't at the park. The pitching coach starts frantically calling for him. Finally, on the 3rd try, Salazar picks up. Hey, guys, he had been taking a nap. They told him to run over here. 45 minutes later, he's on the mound pitching. He did pretty well that night. He's doing quite fine tonight, too.
Well, and that's a gift. I mean, not everybody has that ability to actually slow the game down when it's bigger, and the ability to relax on the mound and be comfortable in your little office is just something that everybody would love to have, and at the highest stage be able to deliver.
And Zobrist, that was off the end of the bat. The off-speed pitch from Salazar, and he has Zobrist quickly in the hole 0-2, and he is just pouring in the strikes right now. Zobrist, foul territory, and Chisenhall for out number 2. And 5 in a row to start it for Danny Salazar.
He's not that big a guy. 6 feet, 190 pounds. It's not like he's some big horse out there, but boy, the ball just flies out of his hand. He's out of the Dominican Republic. And I think that's quite a tribute to him to come back as fast as he has and accelerate his way through their system after time.
Desmond Jennings. He led off on Monday in the tiebreaker. He's been nursing a sore hamstring as well. And tonight, batting 6th in the lineup. Salazar gets ahead of him quickly. And Jennings pops it up. Took the bat right out of his hands with a 98-mile-an-hour heater. 6 up, 6 down, 3 Ks for Salazar. No score off and running here in Cleveland at Progressive Field. We head to the bottom of the second inning. Well, how far does John Smoltz think the Los Angeles Dodgers can go? Watch an all-new Behind the Mic powered by Ford at BleacherReport.com/BehindTheMic to find out. You could tell us now, but just since you've already done it.
Yeah, that would ruin it, though, if I told
direct
you
traffic
yeah.
to BleacherReport.com. I'll be curious to find that out.
Me too.
Alex Cobb back to work, and now his job is to try to quiet down this big crowd in Cleveland. And a first pitch breaking ball strike to the switch hitter Carlos Santana. And there is the designated hitter tonight. Very patient hitter at the plate. 93 walks this year, second best in the American League.
You got two different extremes. You got one guy pitching off the first base side of the rubber, which you're happening here, and now with 2 strikes, if we look at the shift that's going to go on, really Longoria goes all the way over to second base from third with 2 strikes. As these stats are pretty much telling you what's going to happen here with 2 strikes and he hits it on the ground.
And right to him. So easy enough. And Joe Madden leaves a shortstop in place, interestingly enough, Escobar, instead of just sliding everybody over like a volleyball rotation.
Now you guys know I'm not the best at scorekeeping and all that, and I've been really working. I've had a better streak. Is that still a 5-3 there,
Yes,
Joe?
it is.
Still a 5-3.
Okay.
Way to go.
Even though he's over in second base.
Good call on the defense, too. And one of the things that you've got to like about Cobb is the confidence he has in his curveball, because he'll throw it a lot first pitch, just kind of a get-over curveball, but he can throw it for a strike just about any time he wants.
Well, here's the red-hot Michael Brantley, and hoping this little layoff. Indians last played on Sunday when they completed a 4-game sweep of the Twins. Brantley just roasting hot down the stretch for Cleveland. As you see, our Chevrolet pitch tracks focusing on the pitch arsenal of Alex Cobb so far this season. And a lot of breaking balls, a lot of change-ups. Brantley lines one to center, but right at Jennings.
And that's what I was going to talk about. He throws the kitchen sink, not in 5 different pitches, but you never know what you're going to get. It's not fastball after fastball like we're going to see from the young Salazar. He's going to move it around, in, out, throw a little bit of curveball, first pitch, curveballs. He has the maturity now to trust his stuff. He knows how to pitch. That's why down the stretch, arguably one of the hottest pitchers on the Rays.
His last 33 starts dating back to last August, he's gone 18-4. I say August of 2012. He has been arguably the best pitcher in the American League over that stretch.
I'm going to tell you something. It's not easy coming back from any injury, let alone getting hit in the head. I mean, this is something every pitcher is their worst nightmare, and to get right back on the mound and do what he's doing is impressive.
He missed 2 months after he was hit in the right ear by an Eric Hosmer line drive. Went on the disabled list in mid-June. He stayed there until mid-August. Then returned, and it is a fresh arm. And the concerns that he would come back and be a little hesitant, that has not shown up at all. Joe Madden just raving not only about his stuff and his makeup, but how tough he is. And he didn't let it get to him. And he's been not just the Rays' best pitcher, but he's been one of the best in the business in crunch time. Ryan Rayburn just one off his foot. Let's give you a look here. This is what happened to Alex Cobb in St. Pete, June 15th. And just one of those scary moments. Had to be carted off the field. A concussion for Alex Cobb. And once you get past the actual injury on the field, then you start to wonder as he heals, what kind of pitcher, what kind of moxie will he have coming back? And he's passed all those tests.
Yeah, he sure has.
2-2 to Rayburn.
I don't know of another manager in Major League Baseball that shifts his infield as much as Joe Madden. We saw it to the right side. Now we see it to the left side for Rayburn. 3 guys on the left side.
And a payoff pitch, and Rayburn hammers one into the gap in left center. Jennings cannot cut it off. And Rayburn will hold up at second.
Ryan Rayburn had more home runs than anybody in the American League that had less than 300 at bats. He had 16. He's not in the game tonight for his defense in right field. He's in the game for his bat, and he already has paid dividends.
You wonder, Rayburn not blessed with the greatest speed, but Jennings is not running well in center field. He has the hamstring problem. Normally he cuts that ball off with ease.
Yeah, I was a little surprised to see Jennings back out there after Monday when he had trouble trying to leg out a double in the first inning.
I think it would have been a different story if there were not 2 outs. 1 out, 0 outs. It would have been more apt to try to get the third.
So the first hit of the ball game is a double by Rayburn, and here is Asdrubal Cabrera. One of the mainstays, Cabrera. He's the one who has seen the bad times here in Cleveland, but also saw the good times back in '07. A shortstop who finds himself on the highlight reels often, but it's been a down season for him offensively. Cabrera hit just .242 this year. He does have some pop. He had 14 homers.
Saw 2 really good breaking balls right there, almost 12-6 straight down. He calls it a spike curve. Some people throw more of a traditional knuckle curve to create that, but he doesn't. And he's able to throw that so far today, at any time and any count.
Almost hit him. Ball and 2 strikes.
Just a little honesty pitch, keep him off the plate a little bit. This guy, if he had enough innings to qualify, and we just showed you why he didn't have enough innings after he was struck by the line drive, but if he did, he would have led the major leagues in ground ball percentage at 73%. Typically does a good job of keeping the ball down.
Yeah, a lot of that also has to do with great arm action from that split change. He throws everything out of the same slot, which makes it difficult to know what's coming to a hitter. He doesn't give anything away. He doesn't lower his butt. And the one thing that changeup is able to do is it starts on the fastball plane and then drops, almost like a split, a tiny split. That is a big reason why, if they don't swing and miss at it, they're putting it in play on the ground.
Looked like Jose Molina went out to the mound, maybe to change the signs here with Rayburn at second base, just to be safe. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 outs in the second. Rayburn at second, and a fly ball center field. Got some carry to it, but Jennings is there, and the side is retired. The Indians get the first hit. Ryan Rayburn with a double, but Cobb 2 scoreless. American League wildcard game from Cleveland, Progressive Field in downtown Cleveland. And it'll be Delmon Young to start it for the Rays, the designated hitter. And batting at the 7th spot, Salazar has been great, but Young turns that one around. A big fly to left, and she is way gone. Delmon Young jumping on the first pitch, and the Rays strike first.
There's not a fastball he doesn't like. It doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter what inning, what the count is. He's coming out swinging. We talked about the Rays' ability to hit first pitch, home runs. Terry Green, every first pitch, you got to have something on it. This pitch was up in the zone. The guy that they brought over here from Philadelphia is giving up big. That ball's up and out.
Last year's ALCS MVP, Tigers swept the Yankees. And he picked up he left off in postseason his 9th postseason homer.
He is having a huge impact on the Tampa Bay Rays. He was an original Ray, came in as their first-round draft pick, ultimately traded away and started his season in Philadelphia. But he's back with Tampa Bay and delivers the first run of the game. And Salazar gives Escobar a strike. Boy, watch this swing. In total motion.
Get his hands up on the same plane as the pitch. Got him inside the baseball. That was pretty impressive.
And you know what happens as a pitcher? Your game plan, knowing a guy like that, your dream is to get that first pitch pop up or fly out. But really, you can do a lot of different things against a guy who's aggressive. Start him off with a breaking ball. He thinks it's a fastball. And you can mess up his timing for the rest of the game. Unfortunately, the hitter did it to the pitcher. So look for next time. The young pitcher, more than likely, is going to throw that curveball. And we'll see the cat and mouse game continue. But first ball hitting batter. I used to love those guys because they're going to get deep.
Escobar hits that one into deep center field, and Braun is there to cover it for the first out of the inning. What's so interesting about Delmon Young, and this is kind of the way the Rays go about their business, but you know, Joe Madden and their baseball operations group looking at Delmon Young. He's had a down year. He hasn't played much. He was with the Phillies. But you know, the notion was he's been pretty good in the postseason. Maybe we can catch lightning in a bottle. He had a big RBI against the Rangers. Should have had another RBI against Texas. And he delivers the home run here in the 3rd inning. That gives them the early lead.
He's back in the league where he should be. He's perfect for the DH role. He's not good defensively anymore. So the chance that the Rays gave him to kind of restart has really paid off.
Jose Molina batting in the 9th spot, and a bouncer out to Kipnis. And the second out. Now, if you want to know the secrets of being a home run hitter, Tim Ferriss shows you how to knock it out of the park. Go to upwave.com/baseball.
What will be interesting now, John, is to watch Salazar and see if that home run affects him. See if he pulls his horns in a little bit and tries to be a little careful and not as aggressive as he was early on.
We'll go back to the top of the order now. David DeJesus playing in his first career postseason game after all of these years. DeJesus getting the start, leading off. Got another nice August acquisition for the Tampa Bay Rays. His 3rd team this season, the Rays. Started the year with the Cubs. Was with the Nationals for just 4 games in August, and then quickly turned around to Tampa Bay.
You see the depth of those pitches to a hitter. It's got to be frustrating when you think it starts up at the belt and ends up down at the feet. And you know, that mixture of pitches will probably see the home run wakes you up a little bit. But if he goes off of his fastball, that'll be a mistake. I mean, meaning if he cans it, he's still an aggressive fastball down in the zone. That pitch elevated is the reason Delmon was hit.
Change in expression.
Ball and 2 strikes on Jesus. Just got a piece of it. 2
to be honest with you, I'm more impressed with his composure and the ability to not throw 100 miles an hour in the first couple innings. That, to me, was going to be the sign I was looking for from the crowd and anxiousness amping you up. He's been composed. He made one bad pitch. That's not going to beat him in the game typically, but his ability to turn up, he's got gears. He's got Verlander gears, and he can rush it up there to 100 miles an hour when he wants to, but he's got under control so far.
He's hit 98 tonight. Has 3 Ks. As De Jesus down a ball with 2 strikes, and De Jesus fouls it away. David De Jesus, 1,277 career games without a postseason opportunity. And he was amped up in the clubhouse before the game tonight, trying to keep himself calm as he gets his first playoff performance. Salazar deals, misses. Not by much, and with a lot on it.
You watch the cadence of his delivery, and it's so good. He doesn't rush. He gets down in a perfect position. Every guy who throws a little hard is going to fall just a little bit towards the first base side. Really good power mechanics and obviously a live arm.
Salazar with his first 100-mile-an-hour pitch follows that up with a little breaking ball. Got a ton of strikes. He has 35 pitches at this point. 26 of those have been strikes.
Second time through the order. See if any of the Rays are able to make some adjustments on that fastball.
The payout pitch. De Jesus hanging tough.
De Jesus hit one to center field. You might remember in the first inning that jumped pretty good, and Warren had to run it down. He has swung through a couple of breaking balls in this sequence.
Salazar making his first career appearance against Tampa Bay. These 2 teams played 2 series during the regular season, and they were done by then. Alex Cobb escaped to a lead courtesy of Desmond Jennings. And De Jesus. Little jam shot, and that'll be run down by Ryan Reagan for the out. Well, Delmon Young, the epitome of the ambush hitter, puts the Rays on the board. Bottom of the third from Cleveland. The Tampa Bay Rays on a Delmon Young home run. They have the lead 1-0. And Tampa Bay have now scored first in 12 straight games. They needed to get off to good starts, many of those coming on the road as they went through this wild ride. Going to New York, ending up in Toronto. They lost 2 games in Toronto. That allowed the Rangers to get back in it, allowed the Indians, who won 10 in a row to finish the year, to take the top wild card spot. And then the Rays go to Minnesota and a 4-game sweep. The Indians in a 4-game sweep to secure that top spot, which is why they were able to rest until this first playoff game here in Cleveland. And it is interesting talking to these two managers about the rest versus playing in this hot environment and trying to stay hot with the pressure on. Basically been elimination baseball for the Tampa Bay Rays and the Cleveland Indians going back 4 or 5 days before the end of the season. Yan Gomes, ball and 2 strikes.
Well, that's why when talking to Terry Francona, some of the numbers don't add up to look at why they're in the playoffs. They have team high 22 home runs, no 300 hitter in the lineup, team high 84 RBIs. No starter that has more than 14 wins. And the fact that he would give so much credit to Giambi, who's hitting 188, he said he's our MVP. Without him, we could not have gotten here with his leadership, what he's been able to do for this ball club, and stability.
And Giambi had a big walk-off home run here in Cleveland last week. The 2-2 to Gomes, a little half swing, and he was able to check his swing. Gomes has been a nice pickup for the Tribe as well. They got him from the Blue Jays. 294 hitter during the regular season with 11 homers, 38 driven in.
Good catch and throw guy too. 38% of base stealers.
Payoff pitch to Gomes. And a drive to left. That ball's well hit, and it's going to be caught by DeJesus. David DeJesus making a very nice play near the wall and left. Taking extra bases away from Yan Gomes.
This looked like a hanging split change, Joe, that was on the inside part of the plate. He got away with it with the left fielder.
Nice play by DeJesus. Moved to play center field if they wanted to move Jennings out of there because of his hamstring. Nice recovery there.
Now DeJesus fits right into the Joe Madden plan. A lot of interchangeable parts. DeJesus could certainly play all 3 outfield spots. Very versatile roster. As that ball is hit well and through, a base hit. Lonnie Chisenhall jumping on the first pitch. And the Indians with their second hit. Their 9-hitter is aboard with 1 out. Well, the Cleveland Indians, team that lost over 90 games last year. October 6th, Terry Francona was hired to see their record versus winning teams. It was second in the American League with 16 shutouts. Their pitching really stepped it up. And then that great finish to the year. 21 wins, only 6 losses. The 21 wins matching a franchise record in September. And that's why they end up in the postseason. Terry Francona's first year as a Cleveland manager after a year on television last season. And of course those 2 World Series titles with the Red Sox.
Part of the reason I think Alex Cobb is switching it up and changing it up so much on first pitch. The only hiccup in his stats so far, they're hitting 426 on the first pitch. He's throwing some first pitch curveballs, fastballs, changeups right there. First pitch curveball was hit pretty hard for a single.
Second time through for the Indians now as Michael Bourne bats with Chisenhall at first. Terry Francona wouldn't even entertain the thought of going back to Boston. But you know it has to be planted back in his mind, maybe even at the forefront of his mind. As the winner of this game will head to Boston to take on the Red Sox. And it did not end well for Francona in Boston in 2011. He wasn't out of the game long. The Indians gave him a shot. Francona's father used to play for Cleveland. Has a lot of ties not just to the city but this organization. As he has turned the Indians around a lot faster than anybody thought he would.
That's the best fastball he's thrown tonight, John. That was 92. That's kind of the upper range for Cobb. And a good spot at the knees. Michael Bourne has missed some time here at the end of the year with a bad wrist. But Terry Francona said they put him through his paces yesterday. He said there's no way he could have made it through those drills and been ready to play today if he weren't 100%.
Well, if you're wondering about the running game, they've stolen 12 out of 16 times against Alex Cobb. Semi-slide step, kind of obviously doesn't pick his leg up like he does out of the windup, but the success rate against the whole Rays has been very high. They have not done a good job of preventing base stealers.
And Bourne takes a strike. All at 2 strikes on the Indians' leadoff hitter.
The Indians have some guys that will run. Michael Bourne certainly one of those. Kipnis had 30. Brantley 17. Lenny Chisenhall not really a threat to go unless they decide to put on a hit and run or something with 1 out. Not a good count to do that.
Michael Bourne, a calf injury on Sunday, and a swing and a miss. Cobb strikes him out. And the second out of the inning. Second strikeout for Cobb. How about the Rays? Slow start, 14 and 18 out of the gates. And then the big move, calling up Will Myers. They got him in a trade with the Royals. Led the Rays in RBIs after the call-up. Improved defense significantly to 59 errors. Last 19 games, 14 and 5. So a strong finish by the Rays and feeling like they've been in that elimination position. That entire road trip that finished their season through New York and Toronto and then on to Texas and now here in Cleveland. And they'd love to set their travel plans to Boston next.
Anytime you cut your errors in half, which they came close to doing, you've made a vast improvement. And El Escobar, James Loney gets a lot of credit from Joe Madden for their improved defense.
Swisher, a strikeout victim in the first. Cobb, impeccable command early with his breaking ball. If you're watching the pregame show, Pedro Martinez was going through the grips with Dirk Hayhurst. He talked about the spike curveball, and that's the one that Alex Cobb throws. We'll see it in Adam Wainwright as well tomorrow.
Lincoln's fastball, I mean, certainly not in the neighborhood of Danny Salazar, but it's certainly good enough to pitch inside, and he's willing to pitch inside and really has to make that curveball effective.
Well, that and his fastball looks a lot faster when he's slowing them down with breaking balls and changeups. Done a nice job mixing it up so far against these Indian hitters who are very aggressive.
Joe Madden putting the shift on again. Interestingly enough, however, he's got, in this case, with Swisher at the plate, it is Longoria in the shortstop position, moving Escobar over into the second base spot. And Swisher bounces one right to Loney. And Alex Cobb. Another scoreless inning, 3 scoreless in the books for Cobb, 1-0 Rays. settling into this American League wildcard game tonight. The Indians and the Tampa Bay Rays. Delman Young with a home run to lead off the third. And the Rays have the lead as we go to the fourth. It'll be Will Myers, James Loney, and Evan Longoria. Myers a strikeout victim in the first. And what an impact this guy has made. He's just 22 years of age. He came to the Rays in the James Shields deal, coming from Kansas City. And an impact bat. And when we look at that Rays lineup, Joe, and you see Evan Longoria, who had another 30 home run season, he's got a lot of weapons around him. And Myers was the big weapon hitting in front of him as of mid-June.
What a great spot for anybody to be called up in the minor leagues and hit in front of Loney and Longoria with the years they were having this year.
Danny Salazar. And the 1-2 and a foul back out of play.
Probably going to see a few more strikes to hit if you're putting Myers on base in front of those guys.
That's the first location that he's missed. He's been really good. If he wants to go away and he misses away, that time he's trying to go away and missed in. That's what's been so impressive about his game plan and his execution.
For his velocity and power pitching, he really didn't walk that many guys at all. 15 walks in 52 innings in the regular season. Not bad for a guy who's striking out 31% of the hitters he faced.
Has 3 tonight, and the 2-2, and Myers fouls it back.
Well, it's not as simple as like Miguel Cabrera looks like he's sitting in a rocking chair when he's hitting. Nothing bothers him. You don't look like you're going to get anything by him. For a pitcher, when it's smooth and the mechanics are smooth, then that tension to throw the ball harder isn't there, and it's easier to hit spots. When you have tension, pressure, and you have mechanical issues, you're going to run into location problems.
Myers hanging tough. Salazar the 2-2 and 96 on the black. Strikeout number 4 for Salazar. Second time he's punched out Myers.
This is a fastball that comes back. To mention 96. You notice the first at bat, Will Myers didn't like the first pitch that was called. The second at bat, he didn't like the first pitch that was called. That shouldn't bother, and it wouldn't bother most hitters, but you can tell when you're a little bit overmatched or feeling like the pitcher on the mound, you want everything to be closer to give you a chance, and certainly 2 Ks in the first 2 at bats.
Yeah, he was complaining to Jerry Davis all along after that.
James Loney hits third in this Rays batting order, typically against the right-handed starters. He hit down in the order against the lefty Martin Perez in Texas in the tiebreaker on Monday. And he's hit wherever he's been in the batting order this year. Just missed a 300 batting average this season. Loney had a terrible finish to his Dodgers portion of his career. Signed a 1-year deal with the Rays, and he hits that one hard through for a base hit. So the second hit for Tampa Bay, a single by Loney. We'll keep the action going tomorrow on TBS. Thursday, October 3rd, in ALDS. And it all starts at 4 o'clock with MLB postseason pregame on TBS, presented by Jeep. And then at 5 o'clock, the Pirates and the Cardinals, game 1 of that best-of-5 series. Division rivals matching up there. And then at 8:30, it's the Dodgers at Turner Field in Atlanta, game 1 of that best-of-5. Postseason show on TBS presented by Johnny Walker is after the late game.
And that nightcap, if you like runs, well, you're not going to see them. Those are 2 good pitchers going. Game between Medlin and Kershaw could be 2-1, 1-0, 3-2. 2 hot pitchers.
Well, congratulations to the Pirates, eliminating the Reds. They won the wild card game in the National League yesterday. Great scene at PNC Park. Longoria with a runner at first, and Salazar misses away. Evan Longoria was the third in 3 consecutive strikeouts for Salazar to finish the first and start the second inning.
Can't tell you how much confidence it gives your team to get that first run on the board offensively. Let's go up a little more relaxed.
And a bouncing ball through, a base hit for Longoria. He just keeps hitting. Longoria was a triple shy of the cycle on Monday in the tiebreaker game. Back-to-back base hits. The Rays in business here with 2 on and 1 away.
And again, second time through the order, maybe a little better look at the ball out of his hand, a little better reaction. Great work there by Longoria, getting his hands inside the baseball. But again, just being able to relax with that run on the board is really big for the Rays right now.
And to a pitcher, if you've got a hitter that's not jumping out at you to get your fastball, that's a bad sign.
Yes, it is.
And he doesn't jump out. He's got great hands. He trusts his mechanics. And as a pitcher, you realize you got to make better pitches. You can't get away with a guy trying to catch up to a heater.
Rays threatening, 2 on, 1 out. Salazar to face Ben Zobrist. Popped him up into foul territory his last time up, the switch hitting Zobrist. And he has a decision to make tonight. Salazar has proven that he's a strike thrower, and he's been a strike thrower tonight. Zobrist, probably the most patient of the Rays hitters. Swinging early in the count his first time up. We'll see what he does here. Well, he shows bunt. Takes it for a ball.
I'll tell you another impressive thing about the young Salazar. You know, it's not a ton of stats that's compiled, but a 121 opponent's batting average with runners in scoring position. 121. So that's bearing down, that's using your weapons and not getting too carried away with having to feel like you got to strike everybody out. But he does have that luxury.
Indians set up to turn a double play. And that ball's in the air to right. Rayburn will make the play. Tagging at second is Loney. And he'll make it without a throw. So the second out, Salazar retires a very good hitter. The runner does advance, but it's first and third with 2 gone now. And Jennings coming up.
We're just seeing better swings, better timing. Rays are making some adjustments.
Well, that, and he's gotten behind a couple hitters too, so
yep.
he can get away with some 2-0 fastballs, but not for the rest of the night, because early on, that emotion, that adrenaline, and the ball's jumping out of your hand. Now you start settling into the game. Now it's more close to a game that you're used to pitching. Pitching coach going to go out there and remind them of a couple things just to make sure that they have the game plan of a guy that's at the plate. Get some breaking balls to swing outside the zone. You don't have to go strike one. Those kind of things that you typically take for granted that every pitcher knows, and the moment doesn't get the best of them.
Mickey Callaway, first-year pitching coach of the Cleveland Indians. His first year as a major league pitching coach. Desmond Jennings. He popped up to third in the second inning. First and third, 2 outs, and Jennings takes a ball. Trying to drop an off speed in there to get strike 1.
He's missed on the last 4 first pitch strikes after hitting 9 of the first 11 batters. And again, you know, a breaking ball slider maybe right here, a 1-0.
And don't forget that home run was hit on the first pitch. It caused him to shy away a little bit.
And a hard hit ball, that's fair, down the line. In to score is Loney, and now keep an eye on Longoria. He's around third and will be waved home. And the throw is late. A 2 RBI double for Desmond Jennings. And the Tampa Bay Rays take a 3-0 lead.
That quieted the crowd. Remember, he got jammed badly his first time up. Jennings did, popped up in foul territory. He got the barrel of this one.
And again, the count being behind, I really thought that was the call, was to be a breaking ball, because the hitter starts getting more aggressive when runners are on scoring position. The team's already got the lead for you, and you have to feed sometimes off of the guys wanting to be the hero. But he put a fastball in the outer part. To your point, Joe, he didn't miss it this time.
And Longoria able to score all the way from first base. That ball got tucked down into the corner. 2 out, 2 RBI double for Desmond Jennings, and they will intentionally walk Delmon Young here. Jennings had not started in 7 games after a hamstring issue. He came back and started in the tiebreaker game on Monday. Had a hit his first at bat. And delivers a big hit for the Rays. One more to go for Delmon Young, who hit the home run that put the Rays on the board first. An intentional walk. On first and second now with 2 outs and double barrel action in the Cleveland Indians bullpen.
Well, Escobar, another good first pitch fastball, aggressive hitter. See if he has the patience to take what should be a slider, a breaking ball, with runners at first and second. Again, the cat and mouse game at this time. 3 runs, you can't afford to give up any more, obviously. So you've got to start settling down and making those quality pitches again.
Yunel Escobar, first year with the Rays, bouncing ball to Cabrera. And that will retire the side, but Tampa Bay delivering again. Desmond Jennings with 2 outs, drives in a pair with a double, and it's 3-0. Well, it was a big loss for the Tampa Bay Rays when Jennings was hurt a week and a half ago. Missed those 7 starts to finish the season. Only pinch hitting duties. But he's been able to keep his bat sharp. Had a hit in the tiebreaker game against the Rangers and delivers a 2 RBI double to give Alex Cobb and the Rays a 3-0 lead as we go to the Indians half of the 4th. And it'll be Jason Kipnis to lead off for Cleveland. Cobb has a couple of strikeouts. Has not walked a batter in just 2 hits allowed. The double by Rayburn and the single by Chisenhall.
This guy may be one of the least known good players in the American League. Great numbers again, solid defense, steals bases, just an outstanding player. And made the All-Star team this year too. This may, depending on how far Cleveland can get in the postseason, might be his coming out party.
Kipnis led the Indians in runs and hits, RBIs and stolen bases. Stole 30 bases this season. And Terry Francona saying he's the ultimate team guy. And that's the way you want your stars to be, and he is emerging into a star in this game. Cobb has him down, no balls, 2 strikes.
He actually was a center fielder in college at Arizona State, and after they drafted him, they moved him to the infield and worked hard to make him a second baseman. I didn't feel like he had enough arm or range, at least at that point in his career, to play center field. It was a good move for him and the team.
See what Cobb has in mind on an 0-2 again. And that one just missed. Ball and 2 strikes on Kipnis. Santana will follow, and then Michael Bradley. Rays up 3-0. Scored 2 in the top of this inning. Delman Young hit a home run in the 3rd to open up the scoring tonight.
Cobb has done a great job moving the hitter's eyes up, down, in and out. With that curveball that he has, the hitter's got to follow that ball on that upward plane that goes straight down, and then a tailing fastball inside makes it tough to lock in on anything. He's also done a great job at limiting the damage home runs wise. He's only given up 13 on the year. 12 of those have been solo.
The 2-2. Kipnis bounces one over to second base. Zobrist hits the pitcher on the move. Nice play by the Rays for the first out. Now, moments ago, we caught up with Rays manager Joe Madden. We asked him about Desmond Jennings in the 6th spot in the batting order tonight.
Yeah, he, normally against the left-hander, you're going to see him bat in the leadoff spot. Against the righty, we've done that during the course of the season. He can drive in some runs, man. He's got some pop in that bat. Coming off the hammy problem right now, with a lot of confidence in that particular role.
Hey, Joe, we've noticed with your shift, sometimes you'll switch Longoria and Escobar in mid-at-bat.
Sure.
What's the purpose of that?
Well, of course, on this side with the bunt possibly in order, you want Longo to play right there because he's outstanding at that particular play. And as the count gets a 2-strike when the bunt goes away, then get the stronger arm on this side. Even though there's probably little chance that there's going to be a ground ball on that particular side, there's still the chance for the pop-up. But in the event that the ball is hit on the ground over there, you want the better arm.
Fascinating stuff, and you get a little glimpse into the mind of Joe Madden and the Rays baseball operations as they go through all of these scouting reports and all of the possible scenarios. And I guess as we see the shift on here against Santana, my question is that distracting to a hitter, which would be another good reason to do it because they are in motion during the at-bat.
Would have been earlier tonight to me, Brian, because Zobrist, when they moved the 3 guys to the left side of the infield, he was moving while the pitcher was actually in his windup. That would be very distracting to see movement back there behind the mound.
Tony La Russa used to do that with the Cardinals infielders. He would have them race in a spot with men on base, looking for every advantage that he can.
It's like playing a zone defense right now with the second baseman and outfielder. It's going to be hard to dink one in between the two, but his depth on a ground ball, if it's hit softly to where he's positioned, good chance, even with the lack of speed, he beats it out.
Carlos Santana, a power hitter at the plate, Indians cleanup hitter, 20 home runs during the regular season. And the 2-1 from Cobb is swung on and rifled down the line. That's going to go to the wall. Santana on his way to second. And a belly flop for a double.
This was the only at bat, Joe, that he got underneath pitches. He got underneath that changeup and right in the wheelhouse for a double down the line.
Well, this guy's another one that's about to have a coming out party too if Cleveland advances, because he is a tremendous switch hitter. Former Dodger property, was traded to the Indians in the Casey Blake trade. But both sides of the plate, and he's just getting better all the time. He had 275 in the cleanup spot this year, and the team 33-15 when he was the cleanup hitter.
Good job by Hickey coming out. Only a hit, really a double, but maybe he's reminding him again to get back on top of the ball, underneath some fastballs, underneath the changeup, elevates it to enough to where you don't want to create any momentum for this crowd. Pittsburgh's crowd kept Pittsburgh in the game the entire time. It almost felt like Cincinnati had no chance. Tampa has taken this crowd out temporarily, and you want to keep it that way as a starting pitcher.
Tonight it's kind of funny. We were in the clubhouse before the game, and Michael Brantley had some new bats, and Santana came over and kind of pilfered one out of his locker, and he goes, "No, it's okay, because this has got 3 hits in it for me tonight."
Brantley's been great with runners in scoring position this year, 3rd best in the American League. Hit for a 375 average, and he hits one hard foul. Jumped out ahead of one. The Indians, through the lean years, acquiring talent. Joe, you mentioned Santana coming to the Indians in that Casey Blake deal in 08. There was another trade in 08 that landed the Indians Michael Brantley, and that was the big one, CC Sabathia, going from Cleveland to Milwaukee. And Brantley was one of the 4 that came from the Brewers to the Indians, and is emerging as a very good young hitter.
We hear all the time about trades at the trading deadline for experienced veteran major league players for prospects. Sometimes those pan out, sometimes they don't, but sometimes those minor leaguers come back to haunt their teams, don't they, John?
Yeah, they sometimes can really do that. That's a good thing.
They can really do well, can't they?
Brantley takes a strike. They drop one right to the bottom of the zone, and it's 0-2 on Michael Brantley.
It's going to sound weird. Every pitcher in an elimination game loves the fact that if I just said, I'm going to give you a 3-run lead, isn't that great? Yes and no. You'd love it to be tight all the way, and then at the end get a little more runs to give you that breathing room, but you never want to give runs back. Your team's giving you 3 runs. That very next inning, try to put up a 0.
And look at Molina. Keep it in front. That keeps Santana at second base.
John, you talked earlier about him working out of the stretch and how he doesn't and can, especially with the runner at first, implement that high pause leg kick. Is it hard to have that drastic a change between your windup and stretch?
Not really. First of all, for him to do what he does out of the windup, he's got good balance, and he gets back to his left side, which you would think would drift him away. You'd think that he'd have more problems with that pause, but out of the stretch, it's more simplified. You don't have to drift. The deception's not there, but the ability to pick up your leg, obviously with a runner on first, you can't do. And the second, you can, but his balance is pretty good. It's the reason why he can do what he does and spot the ball where he does.
Ball and 2 strikes on Brantley. Got Santana at second. And Brantley back up the middle. Zobrist lays out. What a play to his feet. The throw is not in time. Brantley beats it out. And Loney is arguing. Joe Madden quickly out of the dugout. Ted Barrett, the first base umpire. It was close. What a great play by Ben Zobrist.
Outstanding. Looked like this was going to get through. He lays out, comes up throwing. Can't get much on his throw from that position. Loney did a great job at digging it out. But Brantley, with good speed, gets the call from Ted Barrett.
Take another look. The short hop, so difficult, I think, for umpires because they're listening for that sound, and now there's 2 sounds. He looks like he gets it right. Great pickup, though. You're right at first base. Now the double play is still in order.
One of the things there, it looked like Brantley did that made it closer than it should have been was it landed on the kind of the back half of the base. If it hit the front half of the base, there would have been no argument.
An infield hit for Brantley. First and third. Zobrist saves a run for the time being with that diving stop. Foul falls behind Ryan Rayburn. Rayburn had the first hit of the ball game, a double. So give us a good look at it, and it's bang bang. We're looking at it from all these angles. Could have gone either way. The Indians get the benefit of the call this time around.
Clearly, you can see his foot land on the back side of the base too.
Now Cleveland with the time run complete. Rayburn with plenty of thump at his bat to tie this one up quickly. He's been at his best with runners on base, nearly a 300 average.
Well, you look at his hands, and one of the things that's a timing mechanism in a relax, he actually takes the hand, the fingers off the bat, and puts it back right at the last minute. To each their own, and I think with the way that he has in his hands, it doesn't create as much tension. You would think the re-gripping, but his bottom hand just almost relaxed right in the bat.
He came over from Detroit, and here's another look at that grip as he gets ready to pull the trigger. And he was a real good role player for Detroit for several years. Became a free agent, signs with these guys, and got off to a horrible start with the Indians. And really was in danger of losing his job, but Francona stayed with him and paid him back for that. Good numbers.
Just keeping an eye on Bradley. 17 stolen bases during the regular season.
Rayburn had 34 RBIs in his last 40 games. And again, not an everyday player, so that's great production when you get in there.
Different slogans or different shirts. He's part of the goon squad here at Cleveland. I think the longer you wait, the more interesting it would be with his hands at the plate if a pitcher made him wait a little extra long.
But he's got his bat resting on his shoulder, John, so there's no real stress on his hands.
In a big spot. Bottom of the fourth. And Rayburn lays off. Rayburn swung the bat so well, he might be hitting his way out of the goon squad. That's dedicated to the bench players. And Rayburn typically has been the guy who has played against left-handed pitching and been a bench player against right-handers, but he's in the lineup tonight, and he's batting in a big spot in the fourth. 2-1. Another check on Bradley.
We talked about this Monday night, guys, about the Rangers and how much they like to run, how aggressive they were on the bases, and what a difficult time the Rays had at holding runners and throwing out base stealers. In fact, they're the third worst in the major leagues in that category, so they're doing a good job of trying to hold Brantley close.
Well, now Rayburn in the driver's seat.
About to find out how much confidence he's got in that breaking ball.
Yeah, that or the changeup. Seeing if he can feed off the aggressiveness. Hitters count.
Cobb is a ground ball pitcher. Rays will try to turn two to get him out of this inning. And up under the letters, and Rayburn draws the walk. The bases are loaded for Cleveland. So the first walk of the game for Alex Cobb. And Escobar comes in with Molina.
Well, with the bases loaded, these two teams have adverse batting averages. Cleveland second best with bases loaded at 323, where the Rays are 14th, second worst at 222. So you can see the ability to hit with runners on, and certainly the bases loaded in this case.
Jim Hickey on the phone to the bullpen. And that springs him into action. David Price went the distance for the Rays on Monday in the tiebreaker and allowed a beleaguered bullpen to rest a couple of days. Bases loaded. As dribble Cabrera at the plate. One gone, and Cabrera takes one down and in.
Well, if ever he needs a ground ball, it's here. The Indians don't hit into a ton of double plays. The most on their team is 12 by the catcher Gomes. Cabrera's hit into 10.
Ball, Loney to second for one. Cobb is there. The throw is in time. Alex Cobb sprinting to the bag. And a 3-6-1 double play.
That defense again for the Rays.
Well, this crowd very quiet here at Progressive Field in Cleveland. A big double play turned by the Rays. And one of the most difficult double plays to turn, the 3-6-1 double play. Jose Molina leads off for Tampa Bay. It'll be 9-1-2 coming up. Molina, De Jesus, and Will Myers. Salazar returns to the mound. Indians had a golden opportunity to cash in.
How tough that is to turn, Brian, and a lot of times shortstops really try to come across that bag in a hurry, but Escobar with his big arm, watch how calm he was when he took this throw and took his time to make a good throw back to the pitcher who was moving over to cover.
And the hardest part of that double play is the pitcher running straight to the bag, finding the bag, and then acting as a first baseman directly to second base. Too many times you get that on the move and you're looking for two different things. You've got to find the bag first, go directly to it. You work on it in spring training, but it's not the same. It's not the same game speed. And under the circumstances here, what a great job.
Yeah, the pressure and the risk. That ball gets away, 2 runs are going to score. Cabrera was churning along as fast as he could, but Joe, you talked about how great the Rays defense has been. You know, Escobar appreciating that one. And they've been so much improved from last year. Joe Madden gives most of the credit to James Loney. Not only is he a superb defender, but he saves a lot of errors as well at first base.
He said he and Escobar are really the guys that deserve all the credit for that improvement in defense. And again, Escobar he got off to a shaky start offensively and then had some problems on defense too early on. Maybe just playing on that turf in Tampa, but he's only made 3 errors in his last 114 games. That's pretty impressive for a big league shortstop.
Molina hanging tough.
Both managers kind of go about their teams in a different way, but the one common thing is they both allow their team to be loose, have fun, not get caught up with too much. Terry, one of the best at being able to motivate his team and get them to play. And Joe Madden with all the different things he brings to the table, the sayings, the slogans.
Yeah, these two managers have matched up many times back in Francona's days with the Red Sox. Joe Madden is taking the Tampa Bay Rays to the postseason for the 4th time in the last 6 years. Payoff pitch to Molina. Down and out. Molina draws the walk. Good battle there for the Tampa Bay Rays catcher. Moments ago, we caught up with Indians manager Terry Francona. We asked him what it's like being back in the fire in the postseason again.
How we're going to get 3 runs and get back in this game and play tied. We got to obviously hold them down and give ourselves a chance.
Terry, you guys have been a relentless group. I mean, you got a young pitcher that's well beyond his age, but your ability to come back and the veteran leadership in Giambi speak to his importance.
Well, not only his leadership, but his bat, because believe me, at some point in this game, we just need to get a chance to get this thing tied. You'll see him in this game at some point.
Recorded that between innings. Francona out to the mound to make the change. Salazar is out. Francona goes to his bullpen. We'll set up the new hurler when we come back. Pitching change here in the top of the 5th inning. Danny Salazar taken out after a leadoff walk. He goes 4+ here tonight. And Terry Francona, sense of urgency. He's got the top of the order coming up in David DeJesus, and he'll bring on his left-hander, Mark Zemchinski, who is typically in the game late in a game to match up against left-handers. Here he is in the 5th, John.
Yeah, they need to piece this game together now with Johnny Bullpen, and he has been tough on left-handers. Kind of a low to 3/4 type slingshot, fastball, slider, change, but don't know how many batters he's going to actually face in this inning, but the one he's got is the most important one, and that's DeJesus.
Now Madden has his lineup at the top of the order with left, right, and left. So Myers to follow the right-hander, then James Loney, the lefty, is in the hole. Rays lead 3-0. Cleveland had a shot in the bottom of the 4th with the bases loaded and 1 out. A double play off the bat of Cabrera. Now Tampa Bay on the run on to start this 5th. I'm sure Molina enjoyed getting a throw over to first base.
Yeah, first one of the year.
There is no chance he is trying to steal a base in a spot like this. I'd bet all of John's houses on that.
As I like to call him, Zephyr. Had some good years with St. Louis. Struggled a little bit this year. Indians picked him up. He's done a good job for the Cleveland ball club. Lefty's only hitting 128 against him since joining them in the big leagues.
He was so good for the Cardinals. It was one of the big pieces in the Cardinals World Series title back in 2011. Came to the Cardinals in a trade from the Blue Jays that year. I just saw a shot there of Danny Salazar. And John, you're looking at Salazar tonight. Had incredible stuff to start this ball game. Why do you think Francona takes him out?
Well, first of all, you can't walk Molina, but also the contact was a little bit more. There wasn't many swings and misses. First 10 batters, 7 swing and misses. Last 8 batters, 0. So you start putting that together as a manager, and you start thinking maybe it's not quite what the first couple innings was presenting itself, and he's gone to the bullpen.
2 starting pitchers making their first career start this first season.
You know, I've always said in a big game, we all know in an elimination game, you're going to get a short leash. So there's a couple things you can't do as a pitcher. 1, you can't have facial expressions that you're A, nervous or don't have it together. 2, you got to have your stuff do the talking for you. And then, of course, if your team gets you the lead, that's pitch as long as you possibly can. And I'm not saying that he did any of those things. It's just, as a manager, this is the toughest game to manage because you can't leave a guy in as long as you normally would in a regular season game.
Joe, you talked about the second time through the batting order. Remember, the Rays had never seen Salazar. Their season series were both early, first 2 months of the schedule. Salazar didn't arrive until August. Second time through the batting order, the Rays go 3 for 7 with 2 walks against him. One of those was intentional. Desmond Jennings with the big hit. 2 RBI double. As DeJesus puts it 1 down and away, and the count goes full, 3-2.
Major league hitters make great adjustments after they see a ball come out of a guy's hand. They see his release point. They get some timing down on his delivery. And then you've got to be able to adjust to them when they start adjusting to you.
Full count to DeJesus.
Compliment to Salazar is what Terry Francona told us before the game, that before his first start, he said, you know, you have a lot of rookies before their first start, they basically lie to you. Say, oh no, I'm not nervous. He said, this guy looked me in the eye and said, you know, after Tommy John and my battles to get back from that, he said, I'm very comfortable on the mound now and confident. He said, and I believed him. And you can understand why. He's got great stuff.
A swing and a miss. DeJesus strikes out. Zepchinski stuck with the off speed, and he finally gets DeJesus for the first out of the inning.
This is a tight slider. It starts, it almost looks like it starts at the hip, fades away. Good 3-2 pitch.
And for the lefty matchup, got what he wanted.
And a lefty matchup in the 5th inning for Francona. Back to the bullpen he goes. Will Myers coming up.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Now Terry Francona, knowing he is going through the heart of this Rays order, and the lineup batting for the third time now, the two-hole hitter Will Myers will step up, and back to the bullpen goes Francona. Brian Shaw, 25-year-old right-hander, coming over to the Indians, part of that three-way trade with the Reds and the Diamondbacks. He came from Arizona, and he'll have the right-hander Will Myers.
Shaw's really come into his own. He's kind of a crossfire delivery on the third base side. He'll throw a fastball 92 to 95, got a sweeping slider, and occasional curveball. Tough on right-handers. Right-handers only hitting 182. See the numbers on the year. Pretty good strikeout to walk ratio. Like I said, the angle at which he throws to right-handers makes it tough to pick up that slurve slash slider. His fastball can cut a little bit as well.
Only a late inning get out of trouble reliever, or a late game I should say. And you start to think about the way the rosters are constructed here, Joe. This is a one-game elimination game, so these two managers created their rosters just for this game. You can reset if you advance into the LDS, and that changed the way Francona and Madden went about things. Francona has a ton of pitchers down there to
load it up with him. Not surprising, but you say he's kind of a late inning get out of trouble guy. This kind of is the late innings. You know, we're in the fifth, and there's a runner on. The old Smoltz adage, a walk is a rally. You're already down 3. This is late innings. You can't afford to give him any more.
He's one of 11 pitchers on the 25-man roster. Myers, swing and a miss. Shaw rides him up the ladder, and down he goes. And Myers has struck out 3 times tonight. And back-to-back Ks, Zebchinski and Shaw, and now 2 gone, with Loney coming up and a runner at first.
See that cutter I was talking about at 94 miles an hour, just up in the zone. Right by the young hitter who's getting his feet wet postseason. Loney 2 for 5 in his brief experience off of Shaw. His math is about right.
Yeah,
look at
2
that.
homers.
Yeah, 2 home runs, those 2 hits.
Math is my strong suit.
When I was referring to that old Smoltz adage, I wasn't talking about an old adage.
I see. Loney with 2 away, and he spins one in for a strike.
That's an easy pitch to give up on if you're the hitter. Starts so far off the plate, you give up on it, you don't think there's any way it's going to get back to the corner. That was a beauty.
On to the count on Loney. Singleton scored his last time up. Runner takes off, and the throw to second base, and he was trying to steal a base. And John just lost all of his houses as Yan Gomes throws him out. Molina cut down, inning over. 3-0 Rays. We head to the bottom of the 5th inning in downtown Cleveland. The winner advancing to play the Boston Red Sox on Friday. That'll start the American League Division Series. An elimination game, the 3rd straight elimination game on TBS this week. Started with the Rays beating the Rangers on Monday in that tiebreaker game. Pittsburgh eliminating Cincinnati yesterday, and now the Rays and the Indians. Yan Gomes will lead off for Cleveland. 8-9-1 due up for the Tribe. Alex Cobb coming off that big double play. And Terry Francona did a beautiful job navigating through that 5th after the leadoff walk. Got strikeouts from Zepchinski and Shaw, and then the caught stealing at second base. Which means Loney will lead off next inning as that ball's hit hard deep left center field. And that is going to be off the wall. Yan Gomes on his way to second, and he's in there with a double.
Well, when you see this pitch, not a horrible pitch down, but the depth to it and the life obviously doesn't beat the hitter, and he smokes it in the gap off that high wall in left field. In the last couple innings, maybe a little chink in the armor as far as the lateness of which that fastball is getting to the hitter.
Neil Murphy, the Braves outstanding player and Braves Hall of Famer, participates a lot in Major League Baseball international trips for integrating baseball into foreign countries. One of the trips they took was to Brazil, which is where Yan Gomes is from, and he says he thinks that's the next great producer of Major League players.
Gomes in scoring position. Here is Chisenhall, who singled in the 3rd. Well, the Indians almost feel like they have to cash in here. Had the bases loaded, 1 out last inning. Came up empty. Chisenhall takes a strike. We saw Joe Madden stick with David Price. He told us before the game he saw a lot from David Price, and he got some great support from his catcher, Jose Molina, who basically said Price was getting stronger. Don't take him out. It'll be interesting to see how things unfold here with the young Alex Cobb competing in his first postseason.
Now, despite what you may have thought, Molina's not in the game for his speed. There's a close play at second, but he is an outstanding receiver, calls a great game.
And that was lined to right field, down, a base hit. Over to 3rd goes Gomes. And now the Indians have it burning hot. 2 on, nobody out. Tying run coming to the plate.
2 sharply hit base hits for Chisenhall tonight, the former first-round draft pick. Boy, that's a big hit to get that bench energized for the Indians.
And again, they're taking advantage of pitches that are not quite finished. The way we were seeing him keep everybody off balance in the first 4 innings. Right now, that extra foot is becoming more apparent, and I wouldn't think that Joe Madden would stick with him much longer if he continues to leave pitches up. He's got to get back on top, throw that comebacker inside, that curveball. Effectively, the changeup has been flat. It's been up in the zone, and the Indians are not missing it.
Michael Bourne back to the top of the order. 1st and 3rd, nobody out. And strike 1 from Cobb.
He got the big double play last inning. This is not a place where you'd expect to go for a double play. Michael Bourne only hit into 2 double plays in 525 at bats this year. That was the best in the American League.
What you want short of a strikeout is a sac fly or an out to trade for a run. Just provide anything from keeping the big inning. So this is where you trade outs, and you would give up a run if you can continue to keep guys from getting to second and third base.
Well, Michael strikes out a lot. That's one of the things that comes with Michael Bourne, is that he does strike out a lot, and he's an excellent fastball hitter, not as good on off speed.
Bullpen active for the Rays. 0-2 the count to Bourne. And that one misses high. A little bit inside. 1-2 to Michael Bourne.
but that's much better. That part of the plate, he feels much more comfortable with his fastball. You see the late movement. It was up. Had it been down a little bit, he might have gotten that call. That is what was keeping the hitters off balance early in the game.
Runners at the corners with nobody out, and Bourne swings and misses. Down he goes on strikes. Alex Cobb continues to make the big pitches, and what he needed the most was a strikeout, and he got it.
And the only way that pitch can be effective, that curveball right there, is to have the respect of the fastball in that same height. So if the fastball's up at the letters coming back, that curveball's starting at the same height, and the hitter can't recognize it in time, and therefore he goes out.
That was just wonderfully set up by Cobb with that fastball up and in.
And now Nick Swisher, given so much credit for bringing that winning attitude to this ball club, and part of Frank Cona's plan to keep that clubhouse loose. He's all business here. He's up there with runners at first and third, one out, and Cobb misses inside.
46 postseason games for Swisher.
If you look here, you're going to see Escobar is now over to the second base side. There's no shortstop. You're sitting at home and going, how hard could it be to hit a ball to the shortstop where no one's there? Well, they've got stats and graphs, and then on the ball, Nick Swisher's looking to drive this ball, trying to hit a home run, and when he misses it, comes off of it, or a ground ball pitcher that we have, more than likely he's going to hit the ball on the ground. That's why the shift is there, and that's what the defense and Joe Madden has selected.
Well, he is due. He had a rough finish to his season. His last 35 games, he only hit 188.
Swisher, a dead pull hitter. It does make for a very awkward double play if the ball is hit on the ground.
Oh, that's not it. That's not it.
Swisher has had his troubles in the postseason. He did finish with 22 home runs in the regular season, and has been a 20-plus homer player in the major leagues since 2005. 9 straight years. Ball and a strike. Big spot for the Indians. Alex Cobb, this is high.
He's one of the few guys. I mean, they've seen Cobb before. Swisher has 12 at-bats against him now with 3 hits. But of the 9 outs, he's made 6 are strikeouts.
You can get him to swing over the top of that curveball. You've got to set it up with a fastball, though. He's got to understand where that pitch is in relation to the break.
Longoria moves over toward the bag at second. Swisher at first, looking one play, step on the bag, coming to the plate. Nobody is at third. Longoria ran that way to pick up the double play. So the Indians are out of the inning. And had Loney known that, maybe he takes a shot. Another terrific play.
Yeah, this would have been a play. Of course, they would have got him in a rundown at second had he thrown it to second, which is a difficult position to be in where the runner, you think, okay, I'm going to prevent the run. But
There's nobody playing there. I actually thought it was a heads-up play on his part until I realized, too, that there's nobody for Molina to throw the ball to. But you're right, because of the rundown that would ensue, having to tag Chisenhall, that might have allowed, would have tried to, Gomes would have been able to try to come home, and he could come as far as he wanted. Nobody holding him.
Jim Hickey, pitching coach, on his way out. Right before that last pitch, Evan Longoria, who was maybe 15 feet from third base, sidestepped his way over into where the shortstop position would be, made eye contact with Escobar as if to say, I've got the double play ball here, and it ends up working out against the Rays as far as the double play goes. But a heads up move by Loney. Not sure he had an out at second, so he takes the chance at the plate. And for now, the 0 is still on the board for the Indians.
Well, the patience so far of Alex Cobb has been pretty good. He's 2 high-stress innings. Bases loaded, 1 out. First and third, nobody out. He's able to get a K and a ground out to first. But I can guarantee you this. You don't want to continue at this rate. Testing your patience in the stress pitches here in the 5th with 2 outs.
You wonder what the play is here with a base open at first and the 2 outs. And the Indians with one of their top players coming up. in Jason Kipnis, who has twice bounced out. He's 0 for 2. See how Cobb plays it. Second and third. Kipnis takes a ball high.
That's been the money side of the plate for Alex Cobb. He's able to stay on top of the fastball when he throws it in a lot better than when he's going away, leaving it over the middle of the plate.
Cleveland right where they want to be with runners in scoring position as Cobb misses again. And perhaps the intentional walk to see if Kipnis would chase.
Guy on deck's awfully dangerous.
Yeah, Santana, the cleanup hitter. And they switch hitter.
No.
Another breaking ball. And it's 3-0. Madden checking his card. If you want to play ahead with a manager, Santana as a right-handed batter hitting nearly 300. A lot more power lefty. 252 hitter is a left-handed batter. And there's a strike right down the middle.
This is where Kipnis has got to be patient and get a good pitch to hit. He wants to drive in those runs, you know that. He'd like to hit one out and tie the ball game up. But you've got to make sure 3-1 you get a good one.
And Tapper back to the mound. Cobb comes back down 3-0, gets the out. 2 on, nobody out. The Indians cannot score. Cobb 5 scoreless. We'll have the matchup game 2 of the NLDS Friday, October 4th. That'll start at 1 Eastern. The Pirates and the Cardinals, game 2 of that series. And Garrett Cole scheduled to pitch for Pittsburgh in that one. And so have A.J. Burnett tomorrow for the opener. 3-0 Tampa Bay as Loney on the first pitch, a lazy fly ball. Out number 1 as Brian Shaw is back on the mound. Let's check in with Rachel, and she has found a very interested observer to tonight's game.
Well, guys, I'm here with the original Tito, Terry Francona's father, who actually played for the Indians for 5 years in the early 60s, actually the first 5 years of Terry's life. And what has it been like watching your son, who was a little boy running around Cleveland while you were a player, now here managing the Indians?
I'm very happy about it. You know, I'm getting older, and it renews my acquaintance with baseball. It just makes me feel young because I feel like I'm in part of the game now.
What have you learned about your son this season and the way he has managed this team?
Well, we've seen him in Boston do a good job up there, and he has a good rapport with all his players. And you can see how he, throughout the year, how he's got his team ready to peak.
Bit of a jam right now. What advice would you give him to get out of this here?
Well, you know, just hang in there. He'll play. You know, we've got innings left to go, and just don't get overexcited. You know, do the best you can, and that's it.
Excellent. Well, we know he will follow your advice as always. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Thanks to Tito Francona. He was an all-star here as an Indian back in '61. And he'll turn 80 in November. Doesn't look like it. Terry Francona is 54.
One of my favorite players.
Shaw strikes out Longoria. 2 quick ones here in the 6th inning. If the Indians do come back to win this game, and during the regular season they had 31 come from behind wins, you'll be able to look to that 5th inning when Francona goes to his pen, quiets down a leadoff walk, strikeouts from Zepchinski and Shaw, and then a caught stealing. We were talking about some of the roster structure here. Joe Madden going with only 9 pitchers for this one game. Normally you'd carry 11 or 12, but because it's only one game and you do have some starters that are available in the bullpen tonight, Terry Francona decided to go on 11. He has starters available, and he has Justin Masterson available, who can give you multiple innings if the Indians can get back into this one. So it changes the way you manage a little bit when it's just a roster for one game.
Like you said, he's got a lot of interchangeable parts, Brian, so they can play a lot of different positions. And it could be that if he wanted those extra guys on the bench, especially in light of Desmond Jennings' bad leg, he might have needed some help there if something happened when he was trying to dug out a hit or something and had to come out of the ballgame, so a little insurance for that.
And Terry Francona did tell us before the ball game tonight, Justin Masterson, who's been a starter and one of their ace pitchers, he would have no trouble rolling him out there, and he could see him going the final 3 innings, and that's how it would set up if Shaw can get to the 6th. 2 balls and a strike on Ben Zobrist. It's in there.
It hasn't been because of a lack of chances offensively for Cleveland. They just have not executed. Tampa really took advantage of 1 swing for a home run and then a huge 2-out hit to score 2 runs. Well, Cleveland has left the bases loaded, 1st and 3rd, nobody out, and not catch the runner.
And the 2-2, Zobrist takes a ball. Count goes full. Shaw with 2 strikeouts. He had Loney in an 0-2 hole. And then the caught stealing. Pounding the strike zone as Jennings hopes to hit next in this inning. Zobrist right to first base. Swisher hauls it in for the out. 3 up, 3 down. And the heart of the order coming up for the Tribe. They're down 3-0. postseason back in Cleveland, Ohio. First time since 2007. Feels like the mid to late 90s here tonight. Couple of World Series for the folks in Cleveland back in the 90s. 95 and 97. Had an all-star game here as well. And this place is rocking again. Santana leads off 3-0 Rays. And Alex Cobb back out there to start his 6th inning. Santana, Brantley, and Rayburn, first 3 up for the Indians. Cleveland has had a couple of opportunities in the last 2 innings. Had the bases loaded, 1 out in the 4th, got a double play ball to get out of it. 2 on with nobody out last inning, and Cobb retired Bourne, Swisher, and Kipnis to get through it. Santana pulls one. That's going to go well foul. And a long, loud strike to make it 2-2.
Right now you got the switch again of the infielders. Now Escobar goes over to short. And again, Longoria goes over to up the middle second base, kind of. With the deep second baseman, Zobrist.
Deep Will Myers is playing. He's almost on the track in right field. I guess with Zobrist playing where he is, he can go ahead and back up if he wants.
The 2-2. Count goes full. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
2 components to Alex Cobb's motion. You got the leg kick that we've talked about, but you also have the upper body front shoulder. Sometimes he closes it, sometimes it drifts with that front shoulder. Is kind of like the eye of a gun, where the barrel, where you're looking through the barrel to get to your target. So he's got the lower half working and the patience of the lower half, and then that front shoulder's got to stay in there for him to throw a good 2-seamer. Sometimes that ball drifts away and that shoulder's getting out of the place it needs to be.
A payoff pitch from Cobb. Santana pulls it foul. Now remains at 3-2. And Madden and pitching coach Jim Hickey, Dave Martinez, the bench coach, in that discussion as well. And you wonder how long the leash will be for Joe Madden with Cobb in this inning if the Indians put a runner on base. He'd let it ride through the 5th with 2 on and nobody out. 3-2 pitch. A little half swing, they'll ask, and he is run up. Unable to check his swing. Santana strikes out for the first out of the inning.
Getting on some fastballs, pulling it foul, and he drops Uncle Charlie in there. And what do you think, Joe?
Yeah, he went. Call by Greg Gibson.
I can't say, because every time I was pitching, I thought they went every single time. So
no, that barrel got out there a little bit.
Well, teetering on that 3-2 count. Cobb comes back to strike him out. 6 hits allowed through 5 1/3. He has kept the Indians off the board. Picks up his 4th strikeout. And now Michael Brantley.
Now, his curveball's been his best pitch all night. That's the one confidence he has to go to it, and it shows right there on the 3-2 pitch. He's going to get a lot of called strike because of how high he starts that curveball.
Some long faces in that Cleveland dugout. Spins one in low and inside. Michael Brantley had an infield hit in the 4th inning. That was a hit with a runner in scoring position, but a fantastic play by Zobrist. A diving stop that prevented a run from scoring. And then Cobb would get out of the inning. It was the inning with the 3-6-1 double play off the bat of Asdrubal Cabrera.
You look at a lineup, and much like if you look at Tampa, you say Longoria is their hottest hitter, or he's their most powerful and threat. This guy right now is just seeing the ball really good. He hit a missile earlier that was went out to center field, and of course another one that was caught for an infield hit.
And Bradley over to third base. Big hop for Longoria. Throws on the run for the second out.
Fourth and fifth innings, he was in the biggest trouble, John, but he had to make 2 pitches, and he did. Double play ball, and a comebacker.
Well, this pitch right here, he gets away with the guy rolling over, trying to make something happen. That was a fatter pitch, but this is a much better pitch. 3-1. As you said, you got to square up and look at one pitch and one pitch only as a hitter, and that one just, again, trying to make something happen, goes to attack the pitch that never gets to the area he was looking for.
And those 2 pitches allowing Cobb to get out of 2 innings, and the Indians stranding 4 base runners on those 2 pitches. As Cobb deals strike 1 to Ryan Rayburn.
It's funny, not every good pitch or not every hit is a bad pitch, and not every out is a good pitch. It's amazing the timing of when they come, and they all look like great pitches when the opposite happens.
Big cut by Rayburn. And he's down 0-2. Rayburn had walked to load the bases in the 4th inning, right before that double play ball. He doubled in the 2nd inning, hit a rocket into left center. Cobb trying to pitch the Rays through 6. Rayburn, that's in the glove of Molina. Foul tip, strikeout. Alex Cobb stepping up in a big way. He has retired the last 6 shutout on the board for him. Core Performers brought to you by iShares by BlackRock. Alex Cobb and Danny Salazar. Cobb keeps rolling through 6. No runs at this point. Salazar was fantastic first time through the lineup. Not so much second time through. He goes 4+, gives up 3 runs on the hook for the loss. Both making their first career postseason starts. For more, log on to BleacherReport.com/Core Performers. Ryan Shaw back to work here. Tampa Bay at the plate in the 7th. The Indians are running out of outs. The Rays with just 4 hits. But they've made 2 of them count. Desmond Jennings drove in a pair with a double in the 4th. Delman Young started the scoring with a booming home run in the 3rd inning. All 3 of those runs charged to Salazar. Jennings' double came with 2 outs in the 4th inning.
It's incredible how a lineup can work and what position you're in. Usually in the leadoff spot, he comes down in a place where there's runners on, down in the order, and delivers down the line in a crucial, I think, the biggest hit that put this quiet, put the crowd quiet. You know, they were into the game up to that point.
Jennings whistles one into left center. That's going to get down. Brantley's able to cut it off, and that will hold Jennings to a single. Boy, he's having quite a night. 2 hits and a leadoff single to start the 7th.
John, you talked earlier tonight about the Indians and their record against sub 500 teams. 55-18. They beat up on some teams that weren't so good. 36-9 against the White Sox, Minnesota, and Houston. And they did not play well against the better ball clubs.
Well, Shaw is out. Francona makes a change. We'll take a break. The 2013 American League Wild Card game presented by Budweiser. 3-0 Rays. They got a run in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th. Alex Cobb has made it stand up at this point. Terry Francona went into his bullpen in the 5th inning. Started him a little earlier than he normally does. And one of the main reasons, John, is because he has a major weapon in that bullpen now in Justin Masterson.
Justin Masterson, when he was with Boston, pitched out of the pen for Terry. He's been a starter here in Cleveland. Due to the injury, building him back up. He could finish this game easily, but he's nasty. He really has a sidearm fastball with sink, a slider that goes away from the right-hander, obviously, and he can bury a fastball into most hitters, and he's tough to pick up.
Sam Fold will run for Jennings. Jennings still nursing a hamstring injury. So it's Fold in the game, and here is Delman Young swinging away at the first pitch and fouls it back. Masterson with an oblique injury. He returned the final week. Francona was saying he could be back in the rotation if the Indians make a deep run in this postseason, but in the meantime, and certainly tonight, he is a reliever who can give you multiple innings as he tries to build back up his arm strength. That's a swing and a miss from Young to make it 0-2 quickly.
Got away with one there. Backup slider that did not break the way it should. Young just missed it.
And a nice when you can bring a guy in out of the bullpen that was first in the league in shutouts, second in complete games, and 8th in strikeouts.
No doubt. American League obviously have some advantages when you can bring in a guy out of the pen. Normally, you don't have to worry about anything from a pinch hitting standpoint like the National League does. But it's rare you can bring in a guy with this many capabilities and a weapon.
Yunel Escobar with one away. Masterson this season for the Indians. 14 wins, 10 losses, had an ERA at 3.45. He pitched in 32 games this year. 29 of those were starts. He came back and made 3 appearances out of the bullpen after the oblique injury. Little tapper. And that oblique will be tested here. Masterson makes the play for out number 2. Well, a reminder that Boys and Girls Clubs of America is an official charity of Major League Baseball, reaching more than 4 million kids worldwide. You can visit MLBcommunity.org to learn how you can help. So 2 gone. Fold advancing to second base. And here is Jose Molina. Anxious times here for Indians fans. What has been a bonus year for them, a team that lost more than 90 games last year. It was a 24-win turnaround for the Indians. It's tied a franchise record for turnarounds from one season to the next.
Fold, if you remember, had that heads-up play on Monday. He's getting an awfully big lead at second. Third baseman's back. I'm sure they might just even concede him third base with Molina at the plate and look for him to extend that lead and maybe put pressure on the Indians if he can get to third, even though it's 2 outs.
That was a key run on Monday. Made it 5-2. And Joe Madden said he had no thoughts about removing David Price from the game, but that certainly made him more confident to send Price back out for the ninth once the extra run came in. That is something wicked.
It's even worse as a hitter when he's not even looking at you and he's already in his leg kick. He's looking back at full at second base. Never even picked up the target to the last second. And if he looks big, he is 6'6", 250.
0-2 to Molina. And he doesn't bite this time. Not a bad idea from Masterson. Looking ahead to the Indians' 7th inning. They have the bottom of the order coming up. Asdrubal Cabrera, Yan Gomes, Lonnie Chisenhall, the scheduled hitters. Swing and a miss. Masterson gets them back on their feet at Progressive Field. The Tribe coming to bat. Stretch time in Cleveland. Nice. A Lou Bierbauer reference from Keith Olbermann. And how about the Braves? And they had two decisions. B.J. Upton and Dan Ugla, two high-priced players. And it was Ugla who was the one off the playoff roster.
Yeah, it's always a tough call, a guy that they depended on most of the last couple of years. But it's tough in the sense that you hope guys are going to get it down the stretch in September and get some kind of rhythm going. He never did. And those calls, that's why it's tough being a manager in this series. You can change it after it, but this series he won't be on.
Well, Cobb back on the mound. We're just about ready to start the bottom of the 7th. Indians have had some late heroics this season. Jason Giambi, the last of 11 walk-offs this year for the Indians. This was on September 25th, and a huge win for Cleveland. It was a 5-4 victory after Perez had blown the save in the 9th. Giambi comes back after a Brantley hit, and he wins it. Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball and presenting sponsor of the American League wildcard game. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Budweiser walk-off moment. Sam Fuld will take over in center field. Joe Jennings is out as Joe Madden strengthens his defense. And the Cleveland Indians down to their last 9 outs unless they can drum up something here.
Something needs to happen to get this crowd back in it. They're trying to keep the offense going. There's a little bit of cheering going on, and the drum is working, but they need a big hit from somebody.
Dribble Cabrera leads the way. It's the bottom of the order here. 7, 8, and 9 for Cleveland. Alex Cobb stranded a ton of base runners tonight. Deals a strike. Just like we saw Madden with David Price in Texas on Monday, he continues to let it ride with Alex Cobb, his 25-year-old right-hander. 2-1 to Cabrera. Zobrist. That's out number 1. Well, you can follow the MLB postseason on TBS wherever you go with postseason.tv. Get alternate camera angles, live batting practice, real-time highlights. Get postseason.tv now for just $4.99. $4.99 at MLB.com.
Tonight, only one leadoff batter has reached base against Alex Cobb, and coming into this game, well, for the whole season, he had a great .242 on base percentage against him from leadoff hitters. That's outstanding. That helps you stay out of some big innings.
Yan Gomes a little bit late.
Sure does. 76% of them he got out, and that's a big key, not only at any time in a baseball game, but especially in the postseason on the road. When your crowd is so into it and hungry, you've got to do your part. You really do. You've got to keep them at a dull roar, and for the most part, he's been able to do that.
Now the Rays have been so good at taking out the road crowd, almost energized by the atmosphere in these ballparks. Evan Longoria referenced that after the win at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. Into right center, that's going to get down the base hit. Yan Gomes with a pair of hits tonight, and there's a base runner for the Indians. Gomes is fired up, and decision time here for Joe Madden with a man on. Got the 9-hole hitter coming up, Lonnie Chisenhall, who has 2 hits tonight against Cobb.
Yeah, he's hit the ball hard twice. Bottom of the order is doing some good work. Gomes and Chisenhall.
That is the first hit for the Indians since the 5th inning. Alex Cobb had retired 7 straight. The Rays setup man, Joel Peralta, Major League leader in games pitched, is loosening in the pen in the 7th. Chisenhall, a strike. Got the call on the corner.
I couldn't believe when I read that note today that Tampa Bay has played 39 games in 41 days. That's incredible. So that effort by David Price Monday night to go the distance and save the bullpen was absolutely huge. He should be fresh tonight. couple of scheduled off days in there for them that they had to play makeup games that had been rained out. So that's why only 2 off days in a 41-day span.
Yeah, 5.5 weeks, 2 off days. One of them was yesterday. 2 balls and a strike.
Rays have also had those weird weekend long game against Baltimore where a turnaround the day game. Then they had one here where about 4 hours and 40 minutes of rain delay. Finished at 2:30, had to come back and play very next day at 1 o'clock. They've been battle tested in a lot of those areas.
2-1. Chisenhall swings and lines it to right. A base hit. The bottom of the order coming through again. Gomes and Chisenhall combining for 5 hits tonight. And a line drive out. That's the 3rd for Chisenhall. The tying run will bat in the 7th inning. And as Peralta gets heated up, it is Jim Hickey who comes out of the dugout, not Joe Madden, the pitching coach, to have a chat with Cobb.
Again, this pitching staff with this young, they do something right in the minor leagues. They bring these guys up mature, polished. 1st and 2nd here, tying run at the plate. He's had good success against Michael Bourne, so he's going to talk him through this at bat, just settle everything down. The bullpen's ready. Of course, this probably is his last hitter if he doesn't get him out. He's been able to mix it up against Michael Bourne. Michael Bourne has gone after that curveball several times. I would look for Michael Bourne to be aggressive here on the first pitch.
He always is, typically, because he likes the fastball. And again, tough to double up. So they know he's aggressive and can hit the fastball. Let's see what they start him with.
Pitch count in good shape. 104 pitches at this point. And Cobb will stay with the tying run coming up. Top of the order, Michael Bourne was 0 for 3 against Cobb with 2 strikeouts tonight. And he starts him with a hook and he missed. Been getting a lot of first pitch strikes with that breaking ball.
And that take right there, whether it was on accident or on purpose, will mess with a pitcher because you've had some success with that. It's hard to eliminate it as a hitter if you keep swinging at it, and that take was a very good take by Michael Bourne.
2-0.
And what typically happens, a pitcher just misses with it, then he tries to hit it for a strike again, and then he overcorrects, and now he got a 2-0 count. And the fastball count, prototypically, is what Michael Bourne should be sitting on.
Should be. And he'll probably get one.
And Bourne in the air, left center field, over his fold, and he'll have room. Gomes does not tag, so Bourne is out at a hitter's count, and Cobb retires him for the 4th time tonight. And now Joe Madden is on his way with the switch hitter Swisher coming up. Madden, for the first time, will go to the bullpen during these tumultuous games. We'll take a break. Cobb is out. Outstanding effort today by the young right-hander. Indians are knocking at the door, and they have been going back to the 4th inning. Now the bases loaded in the 4th, couldn't score. 2 on in the 5th, couldn't score. Now 2 on here in the 7th inning. Don't forget Friday, October 4th, the NLDS. 1 p.m. the Pirates and the Cardinals game 2, and then Monday, October 7th, the LDS. So game 2 Friday, the Cardinals and the Pirates will get it started tomorrow. MLB Network for game 2. Alex Cobb, what an effort today in his first career postseason game.
Yeah, he did a nice job. He's looked calm under pressure. He reacted calm under pressure, at least on the outside, and kept his team in it. He's responsible for those 2 runners on the base right now. Peralta, what you're going to see, a lot of motion. Leg kick, gather himself, changeup, curveball, and a firm fastball when he wants to throw it.
Those 80 games for Joel Peralta during the regular season led all of baseball. Typically the setup man enters this game in the 7th inning. 2 outs. 2 on. Tying run coming up, Nick Swisher. Swisher bounced out in the 5th inning with 2 on base. Eddie Price with the highlighters. He's working the scorecard tonight. And he writes in Peralta to face Swisher. Oh, he took a shot at it. Swisher with 1 swing trying to even the score. It comes up empty.
How about this, guys? 2 for his last 52 against Tampa pitching. And he's 2 for 18 against Peralta in his career. One of those hits, though, a homer. Peralta likes to pitch backwards. He likes to throw off speed early. He's got a good split and will come back when he gets ahead and kind of surprise you sometimes with a fastball.
Alex Cobb, 6 2/3 innings. Peralta trying to get the Rays to the plate in the 8th. And the 0-1 Swisher, a swing and a miss again. And it's 0-2.
Just so much motion there. I don't know as a hitter what you try to pick up. You're looking obviously in an area and the ball just doesn't sometimes get there.
No, and on top of that, John, the fact that he's got these guys on the bases and he represents a tying run. He wants to do something to ignite this crowd, do something big. And he's a little over aggressive on it. And that motion is helping sell it.
Peralta very methodical before the pitch. 0-2 the count on Swisher. And a swing and a miss. Peralta strikes him out. Alex Cobb, 6 2/3 strong. Peralta gets the Rays through the 7th 2013 American League Wild Card presented by Budweiser. We can be the first to know the latest news on all your teams with Bleacher Report's Team Stream app. Stay one step ahead. Check out the Team Stream app on your phone's app store today. The Rays hold serve in the bottom of the 7th inning. Again, Cleveland stranding 2 base runners. For the 3rd time in the last 4 innings, they've left 8 on tonight. They've had their chances. They've out-hit Tampa Bay tonight. But still a 0 on the board. And how many chances will the Indians get moving forward as we get to the final 2 innings? Terry Francona seeing many opportunities go by.
6 of those in scoring position. 6 of those 8.
David DeJesus. In the 8th, Masterson came on in the 7th inning. Retired 3 in a row, a couple of Ks. DeJesus tonight is 0 for 3. His first career postseason game. And did that get him? It did. Got him on the knee, and DeJesus is aboard. A leadoff hit batter gives the Rays an opportunity in the 8th.
Led the league in hit batsmen too.
That's just a hard slider that we've seen against the right-handers. Go inside and hit him on the knee. You know, the frustration when you play this game back for Cleveland and even in their fans is that at the worst it should be 3-2. You know, they had plenty of opportunities to score 1 run in 2 different situations, but they didn't get anything. And 3 is a lot harder to get in 2 innings than 1.
And they kept coming up with left-handed hitters with a runner at 3rd and less than 2 outs and couldn't get anything done.
Well, how about the job Peralta does with this crowd on its feet? Just when everyone's amped up, Swisher's charged up, wants to hit one 500 feet. He plays the less is more game. Takes a little off. That Swisher way out in front, struck him out on 3 big swings by Nick Swisher.
For Will Myers, he has not, from the very first pitch of the game, not looked comfortable. With the strike zone and with the ability to lay off pitches and make contact. 3 strikeouts in his first postseason appearance.
Yeah, 3 strikeouts against 2 different pitchers. Masterson, the 3rd pitcher he is facing in this game. Elevated to the 2 spot in the batting order. It's just the 12th time he's hitting 2nd. And Joe Madden, as they move down the stretch, wanted a little power threat in that 2-hole, and he is a free swinger.
He's been behind in the count all night. All 3 at bats, he's fallen behind early and had to try to fight his way out of it. And no success with that so far.
They've done a nice job also keeping the ball away, getting him to reach for pitches. Nothing over the middle and up. This guy's a good fastball hitter, especially up.
Got a runner at first to Jesus, and Myers lays off the breaking ball.
And those little things you notice as a pitcher, you see how far away that pitch was, but with his body and hands, he looked like he wanted to go after it. If you can steal that extra 2 to 6 inches on the outside, no reason to ever do anything different.
Slow roll to 3rd. Gonna be a tough play. Chisenhall, the throw is wide, and Myers is aboard. Chisenhall was playing deep with 2 strikes, and Myers reaches on an infield hit.
He got to it in good fashion. It's going to be a close play even with an accurate throw. He scored a base hit as he should have been.
Got out of the box pretty good too, and he'll take it after the first 3 being rough.
Yep. 1 for 4 for the rookie Myers, and now Tampa Bay trying to add to their lead. They're up 3-0, and now they have the heart of their order coming up. James Loney batting in the 3 spot tonight. He singled and scored in the 4th. He was on when Desmond Jennings doubled in 2 runs with 2 outs in the 4th inning. He's 1 out of 3. Loney has made a couple of excellent plays at first base tonight as well.
Had such high expectations for Loney at LA and didn't pan out. He's come over here and really been what Tampa has needed. Last few years they have not been able to score runs on a consistent basis. Their pitching has always been solid. Now talk about his road batting average, just having a stellar season.
Well, Masterson desperately needs a ground ball here. Loney hit into 16 double plays, does not run well. Get a ball on the ground, put a dent in this inning and keep it close. The Indians still have 6 outs left.
Loney was part of that massive trade between the Red Sox and the Dodgers last year. They cleared the way for Adrian Gonzalez. Loney went to Boston, finished the season out with the Red Sox, signing with Tampa Bay as he slices one over to third. Got a chance to turn it here if they go quick. Goes 5-4, 3 and a double play. That ball had so much English on it. Chisenhall ranging over toward the bag at second, starts the around the horn double play.
Now this right here, this was made by Nick Swisher's stretch, doing the splits at the end. He goes out there and gets it. Was able to stay on the bag and not do any damage to his legs there as he really went out and got the ball and beat the runner.
Yeah, 5-4-3 double play. That's a big one for the Indians. So a runner at third with 2 outs for Longoria. 3-0 Tampa Bay. Masterson against Longoria. What a great matchup here. 2 powerhouses for their respective teams. Longoria has struck out twice, but he had a single in the 4th inning. And he scored from first base on the Jennings double, scored the 3rd run for Tampa Bay. Looking ahead to Cleveland's 8th inning. Kipnis will lead off, Santana, then Bradley.
He's trying to be too careful with Longoria here. He runs the risk of firing one to the backstop. He's thrown 8 wild pitches this year. Only Allen has thrown more wild pitches for the Indians. And that's a run they can't afford at third base.
Well, it's a unique pitching style, and the front side so important to Masterson. He's a big guy, long arm action. If that front shoulder is going too far to first base and he's racing out of his delivery, that's what's going to happen. There's where the wild pitches come in. That's where he misses wide on the plate to a right hand.
And a line shot. Oh, what a play! And it's an out. Caught it in the air. Chisenhall saves a run. And will that be the start for the Indians? Beautiful defensive play just before it hit the ground. 3-0 Rays still to go to the bottom of the 8th. This 2013 American League Wild Card game presented by Budweiser. Well, the Rays shutting out the Indians. Alex Cobb combining with Joel Peralta. Peralta coming in for Cobb in the 7th inning. Struck out Swisher with 2 on. Swisher representing the tying run. Cobb goes 6 2/3. Now Peralta trying to carry it over here to the 8th. Rays lead by 3, trying to advance to the ALDS and a date with the Boston Red Sox on Friday. Kipnis leads off. First pitch breaking ball in there for a strike.
The Rays are the first team in the American League since the A's. As we look at the changes,
Kevin Kiermaier will take over in center, move Sam Fold to right.
Have back-to-back 15 shutouts or more as a team in the last 2 years. Of course, this year 17.
Interesting note on Kiermaier. If you were with us on Monday during the tiebreaker, that was game 163. That is a regular season game. Kiermaier made his major league debut playing the outfield in the last inning against the Texas Rangers. What a way to start a major league career. And he made this postseason roster, at least this wild card game roster, for a little protection for the injured Desmond Jennings. There's a strike to Kipnis. Didn't like it.
And again, a lot of soft stuff early. He did the same thing to Swisher, struck him out on a fastball, got him to chase upstairs. Beauty there.
Yeah, good call right on the corner.
Dave's done a good job tonight, as have all the umpires. Especially did a great job on that foul tip in the first inning.
Kipnis down in the count, 1-2. A late swing, fouled away. Tense in that Indians dugout. Cleveland has the middle of their order here in the 8th. They have had so many base runners on in these last few innings, really starting in the 4th inning when they had the bases loaded. 6 runners left on in the last 4 innings. Peralta has him down, a ball and 2 strikes. And he missed barely. Kipnis is 0 for 3. He grounded out back to the mound in the 5th inning with 2 on. That was the inning the Indians had 2 on, nobody out.
They did that on a 3-1 count. It looked like they were halfway pitching around him.
Based on the way he's been pitching, this should be an off-speed pitch after throwing that fastball up.
And Kipnis pops it up. Back is Escobar. And coming into Jesus, it's Escobar who makes the play. And out number 1. NBA basketball returns with an opening night doubleheader on TNT. We're inside a month. Derrick Rose makes his return to the court when the Heat host the Chicago Bulls, followed by the Battle of LA. The Lakers play the Clippers. That's Tuesday, October 29th, only on TNT. Just getting the postseason underway. Major League Baseball and our 3rd consecutive elimination game on TBS, starting with the tiebreaker on Monday. Pirates winning yesterday at home against the Reds, and now the Indians and the Rays coming right down to the end. The switch hitter Santana.
Top of the order has been blank tonight for Cleveland. Bourne, Swisher, Kipnis combined 0 for 12 with 4 strikeouts. The bottom of the order is the one that's trying to get something going each time, and that's been Gomes and Chisenhall. They have combined for 5 of their 8 hits.
Santana had a double in the 4th inning. Came with 1 out off Alex Cobb.
Peralta, before that last pitch, was getting on himself, just telling himself to get the ball down. He He got away with the strike call up. But he's another guy where that front side, you can see he's got that unorthodox delivery, and he can run away from his arm, which is not necessarily a good thing. But his ability to throw the ball where he wants to with that delivery is pretty impressive. It's just not one you would teach.
Ball and a strike on Santana. And he takes it, and it's called a strike. Hit the corner. Santana doesn't like that one. And now that Santana has 2 strikes, they move the infielders again. Burning the edges, Peralta.
Didn't make a pitch much better than that off-speed pitch.
Peralta, 37 years of age. Didn't make it to the big leagues until he was 29. As Santana goes the other way, and it's going to get down, a base hit. De Jesus up with it. He'll hold Santana to a single. Good piece of hitting there by Carlos Santana. And a man on for Cleveland with 1 out.
Well, this is where scouting reports come in, because he quick pitches them. Typically, he does into a big delay, and then he goes right after him at a fastball, and he's ready for it. Some guys aren't in that position to be ready to hit when you're used to the timing of a pitcher taking his time, and he's done that several different times. So good scouting report, good patience, and obviously it paid off with a hit.
Yeah, and nice work by Santana to go the other way with it if he did get surprised.
So not the illegal version of the quick pitch.
No, nobody
just the hurry up.
Right. Yeah.
Taking a page out of the LaTroy Hawkins book. So here is Michael Brantley. Indians need another base runner to bring the tying run to the plate again. Brantley runs well. He's tough to double up. Brantley tonight lined out, hit it hard in the second inning, right to Jennings in center field. Then he reached on an infield hit. It was a great play by Zobrist in that inning to save a run. A diving stop on a hard hit ground ball up the middle. Bounced out to third his last time up.
Well, these fans have been trying. They've been grinding away, trying to find a way to see somebody touch home plate. It takes individual efforts to pass the baton on. You can't be a hero and always try to hit the 2- and 3-run homer. Sure is nice when it happens, though.
You got a guy out in left field at the top of the bleachers in left field who beats the drum to try to get the fans going, and has been doing that for, like, I think this is his 40th year. His name is John Adams. He was doing that, guys, over at Old Municipal Stadium when I was playing. That gives you any idea.
If he's been doing it that long, I'll put his triceps up against anybody else's.
Yeah. The heartbeat of this ballpark, John Adams. 1 ball, 1 strike on Brantley. And Brantley, opposite field, fly ball to Jesus toward the line, and he makes a play. And something coming out of the stands.
Got a shower, too.
So the second out. I'm sure it was dropped on accident. Jesus makes the catch for out number 2. Joe Madden is on his way to the mound. Got a thumper coming up in Ryan Rayburn. And Madden's going to go to the bullpen. So Peralta is out. Some changes coming up, both on the mound and defensively. Stay with us. the Indians are fighting hard, but the Tampa Bay Rays have taken out this sellout crowd. It started with a home run by Desmond Young. He hit a rocket out of here in the third inning. That led off the third. And then in the fourth, with 2 outs, Desmond Jennings turns on a big fastball from Salazar. 2 runs scored. Longoria scored from first base on that extra base hit. That has been the scoring tonight. All 3 of those runs coming in that 2-inning frame. And the pitching for the Rays has been outstanding. And now Joe Madden goes to a left-hander in Jake McGee, despite a right-hander coming up in Ryan Rayburn.
And the TV's not doing tricks. He doesn't have the hanger in his jersey still, although it looks like it. Big, broad shoulders. This guy can throw some gas from the left-hand side. And the bullpen for the Rays has been a little hot and cold, but they typically are a really good bullpen, and they got some live arms, and this is one of them.
As high as 97 with a good slider.
Well, the numbers don't necessarily jive. Rayburn hitting much better against left-handed pitching, but Joe Madden, I'm sure it's more than a hunch, but he likes the matchup with McGee against Rayburn, especially with the tying run still on deck. Good job by Joel Peralta. Pitches across 2 innings. It's the final out of the 7th with a strikeout with 2 on base, and then 2 outs here in the 8th. And a 97-mile-an-hour fastball right by Ryan Rayburn. That might have something to do with it.
Yeah, it's a fresh arm that can run it up there. You know, Peralta's not going to run it up to 98 miles an hour. Obviously, he's going to use more deception. This is pretty much, here it is. See what you can do with it. Straight over the top, left-handed. Yes.
Strike. 98 with the fastball, and McGee coming in here pumping. Big Jake. Trying to get this one to the 9th inning. Cleveland down to their last 4 outs. This crowd just kept quiet for the most part. A pretty good cut.
Really good pitch. He didn't get it quite as inside as he would have liked, but at 99, unless you're really expecting it to be in there and you can drop the barrel of the bat on that ball, that's a tough pitch to hit.
I'm not sure if you can call it a hunch, but you got a guy throwing 97, 99.
One ball, 2 strikes, and a strike called, and the inning is over. McGee comes in and rings up Rayburn. 99-mile-an-hour heat. 3-0 Rays to the 9th we go. NCAA March Madness returns to TBS, CBS, TNT, and True TV this March. For the first time, the Final Four will be on TBS. Don't miss a moment of the action starting in March on TBS. And the sellout crowd in Cleveland. And it looks like a member of the Boston Red Sox doing some personal scouting here.
Could be.
The beards are coming in nicely. Red Sox, by the way, had an inter-squad game today. Buchholz and Peavy picks in that game, and they're awaiting the winner of this one. New pitcher is Cody Allen here for the Indians.
That game went into extra innings, in case anyone was wondering.
They even had walk-up music, I'm told, in that game. Peavy and Buchholz getting their work in. Red Sox completing the schedule Sunday and having to wait until Friday to start their American League Division Series. Red Sox had the best record in the American League. That's why they will draw the wild card winner. And the Tampa Bay Rays are trying to extend this long road trip, this magical road trip that they've been on. Zobrist pulls one to right, a base hit. Tampa Bay, a lead runner on to start the 9th inning.
Doesn't matter how hard a guy throws, Zobrist does a good job of just getting his bat in the zone, and it stays there a long time.
There's the Rays
get it out
closer
there quickly to pull it.
Rodney getting ready in the Rays bullpen.
You know, it's interesting. You never know how things are going to work out, but that extra game may, if Tampa ends up winning this wild card game, may have proved a good thing because Price pitched that game instead of pitching this game. So you have Price more available in the best-of-5 series moving forward than you would if you would have pitched this game.
And he saved the bullpen.
Yep.
Well, Sam Fuld batting for the first time. It's been such a long road trip for the Tampa Bay Rays. Sam Fuld, he and his wife welcoming in a new child, their 3rd child, and has not met the new baby just yet on this road trip. Baby was delivered, and Fuld, I'm sure, is anxious to get home. Technology pays off this time of year.
Did you say that there was a new fold in the fold? Is that what you said?
A new fold in the fold. Very nice, Joe.
I'll be here the rest of the night.
Oh, must have went over my head, I guess.
That's not right.
Cody Allen, he's got an electric arm too. 96, 97, jumps at the hitter a little bit. Got a good downward break. He's breaking balls. Good finish out front. Gets extended towards the hitter.
Fuld came in. He pinch ran in the 7th. That's when he entered the game. Came in to play center field. He's been moved to right since. Joe Madden does a great job getting everyone involved. I mean, operates a lot like a National League ball club, even though you have the designated hitter in the American League. Desmond Jennings had a big night tonight. 2 hits, 2 RBI double. Big hit as Fuld takes a ball.
The only difference between that scenario you just said, I would have thought this would have been a bunting situation. You know, with Fuld, and he can handle the bat. You just add on that extra run, stay within that grand slam type golden 4 number. But in this case, he's going to be hitting away, and they're going to add on if they do via the hits.
Tampa Bay looking like a very tough draw through this postseason. Outstanding starting pitching. Cobb was terrific tonight. Pitches into the 7th inning. If they do advance, Friday tentative pitching is going to be Matt Moore with David Price coming back on Saturday. And Fuld a little half swing. He goes, says Jerry Davis. So a strikeout for the first out. And Terry Francona on his way to the mound. Allen faces 2 batters. Gives up the leadoff single, then a strikeout. And he'll take the ball. Indians trying to keep the Rays at 3. Back to the bullpen goes Francona. inning in Cleveland. The Rays lead 3-0 despite the Indians out hitting Tampa Bay tonight. Indians stranding 9 on base in this game, and Joe Smith is on the pitch trying to get Cleveland to the bottom of the 9th, still trailing by just 3.
Short arm, 3/4 tight arm delivery. He's going to sweep some sliders. His fastball is going to sink. Tough to pick up for right-handers. Tough on right-handers. The man coming to the plate, like we said, he doesn't see a pitch that he doesn't like. He'll be hacking,
especially on the first one.
Got to give a lot of credit to the Indians bullpen tonight. They have kept the Indians in striking distance. Masterson gave him a couple of innings. Brian Shaw was good. Zepchinski struck out his only batter. And now Joe Smith. Delman Young always ready to hack. And it was Young swinging away at the first pitch in the 3rd inning and hit a bomb into deep left field to put the Rays on the board. The first run of the game. Taking back, Salazar just ripped right through the Rays' first 2 innings. And the first pitch of the 3rd inning, Delman Young, even though it was out of the strike zone up, he did not miss it.
That noise, that sound, point of contact, undeniable.
You just got to put yourself in the shoes of Delman Young this year. Took a major pay cut just to prove that he could still play this game with the Phillies. No guarantees there in Philadelphia. Ends up with the Tampa Bay Rays, the team that drafted him and brought him to the big leagues.
And he had decent numbers with the Phillies, 261, 8 homers, 30 RBIs. But even as desperate as the Phillies were for outfielders, he was such a liability. They just couldn't find a place for him to play and get him out of the way, more or less defensively.
Young has started the last 7 games. Played just 23 games for the Rays, and he's only played 1 inning in the field. Only as the designated hitter. Got released by the Phillies in mid-August. Signed a minor league deal with the Rays. They called him up September 1st.
He's been such a good postseason performer. That was a good risk to take.
1 gone in the inning. Indians set up to turn 2, and Young bounces to 3rd. And it's off the glove of Chisenhall. And Zobrist is going to keep on trucking. And he'll make it to 3rd without a play. Boy, had a chance. Young does not run well if he comes up with it cleanly. Indians have a chance to get out of the inning. Now they are in big trouble with runners at the corners.
This had such top spin right here, and you see him anticipating the hop, and it just kept climbing up the glove. Ball doesn't look like it on TV how much top spin that actually had, but the unfortunate hop and good base running.
So 1st and 3rd now. Fernando Rodney heated up, ready to come in to try to save this one in the 9th. And now the Rays trying to add to their 3-0 lead. Yunel Escobar will bat. And a shot off the glove of Swisher into right field. In to score is Zobrist. And a couple of miscues defensively by the Indians. And the Rays up 4-0 now.
You see in this slide, it was a flat slider over the middle of the plate. You're going to see the replay of the actual ball hit off the glove. Again, trying to react as a first baseman. You come off the bag, you get ready to field the position. This ball's hit really hard, slicing. Probably a play he should make.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, Swisher, like the ball got by him. He's had his troubles at the plate tonight as well. Another run is in. And now Jose Molina.
Been talking about the damage from the bottom of the, at least guys getting hits in the bottom of the order for Cleveland. Delman Young batting 7th as a homer, and now an RBI from Escobar.
Scored as a single and a run batted in. And Molina takes a strike.
Had a much better slider right there than you saw against Escobar. Just spun over the middle of the plate, and Escobar was able to, aggressive hitter, be able to hit it hard, and got rewarded with a single.
Chisenhall, costly error. And a play that Swisher should have made.
That's a demoralizing run for the Indians.
And you can feel it in the crowd. This place was jumping when we hit the air tonight. Salazar kept them on their feet through the first 2 innings. Struck out 3 of the first 6 batters. But the Rays, just like they did Monday in Arlington, they took that sellout crowd out of it then, and they have done it again here tonight.
That's interesting. This format's been introduced since last year, and if this score holds up, it'll be 3 out of 4 road teams will have won this game. Pirates being the only one.
As Molina cut and a miss, down he goes. Smith should be out of the inning. Picks up his first strikeout, and 2 gone in the inning. Back to the top of the order. Last year it was the Cardinals who beat the Braves on the road in the first ever wild card game, and then the Orioles winning on the road against the Texas Rangers. Well, this new format creates some great drama to start the postseason run. It also protects the division winners. And teams like the Cardinals, the Red Sox, all sitting back and watching things unfold.
Well, it was interesting in the first year. We almost had that wild card team go to the World Series. They were up 3-1 against San Francisco. San Francisco pulling off a record and winning all those elimination games, down 2-0 to the Reds, came back and won 3 in a row, down 3-1 to the Cardinals, came back and won 3 in a row, and then it swept the Tigers. So the Cardinals almost pulled it off.
DeJesus fouls it back.
Don't forget that other change that was instituted as Jamie Wright joins Rodney in their bullpen, is that it used to be the wild card could not play the team that had the best record if they were in the same division.
Right. So that's changed. Yeah, and that's why you'll see a National League Central matchup once again. Reds and Pirates, and now it'll be the Pirates and the Cardinals. No longer a save situation. I would imagine Joe Madden would bring in Rodney if it's a 4-run lead. He might not if the Rays add to it here. His fans are trying. Two and two.
Yeah, they've been waiting for a while, and then they were revved up. The engines were loud. With the Giants winning the World Series, and the Red Sox winning the World Series, they've now slotted second behind the Cubs, the last team to win the World Series.
In the air, deep right field, playable, not all that deep. And Rayburn hauls it in to end the inning. The Rays get a big run, costly error. Last call for the Indians. We head to the bottom of the ninth. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, shores of Lake Erie. Picture perfect night weather-wise. Has not gone the way the Indians had hoped so far. They're down 4-0. Costly run for the Tribe in the 9th inning after an error. And now Fernando Rodney, not a save situation, but trying to pick up the final 3 outs to send the Rays to the ALDS and the Boston Red Sox. And there are the numbers. 37 saves for Fernando Rodney, but he blew 8 of them. And it had been a wild ride on occasion this season for Rodney.
Well, he had a dream season last year, of course, setting all kinds of different ridiculous numbers. ERA, and the World Games, this baseball classic, this to start the season. His team wins it all, and now he's here with a chance to put his team farther in the playoffs.
Cabrera leads off, bottom of the order coming up for the Indians. And at this point, Cabrera has the key at bat of the game with the bases loaded and 1 out in the 4th. Drubel bouncing into a 3-6-1 double play. Beautifully started by James Loney at first base. Now he's open to reach. Tampa Bay got that big complete game from David Price, giving up just 2 runs on Monday. Something to be said, Joe, for a team that has been in the grinder. They've had to win. They have been winning. Won the tiebreaker, entered into the postseason, and now they have a lead. They've been at it for a good week now.
Yeah, they've been on the road doing it. That's what's as impressive as anything, is what they've been able to accomplish while away from their home ballpark. And postseason record on the road, pretty good. 6-3 in their history.
Rodney deals, and it's away.
Mid-90s fastball, upwards of 97 for Rodney, with a good changeup that he'll throw in just about any count.
Tremendous deception without a lower half that looks like it's working. It looks like it's all upper body, not much of a leg drive. Man, he's got good arm speed on his pitches that you can't pick up the difference. On that one.
Rodney last pitched on Sunday. Alex Cobb had a chance to win his first ever postseason game. Pitched into the 7th inning tonight. Went 6 2/3 and no runs allowed. 6 hits. Rodney winds it up, and a swing and a miss, took something off, and down goes Cabrera.
That's what's amazing again about the year he had last year. He was unafraid to throw that pitch in any count. 3-2, 4-run lead. I'm sure the hitter's thinking, oh, he's going to make me put this in play. Well, he throws this dead fish changeup, and of course you can see Cabrera having to respect 99, trying to get out and get it. It never got there.
What a great pitch.
Way out in front of it. The change of pace. 48 saves a year ago. He was an all-star last year. Actually finished in the top 5 in the Cy Young Award voting. We'll have to go through the 2 hot hitters tonight. You see Tito Francona, father of Terry, former Indian. Jan Gomes is 2 out of 3, and his out was a line drive out.
Again, it doesn't look good, obviously, in this game, down 4-0 with 1 out. But I can tell you this: there's not anybody that I know of that could have predicted the Indians to have this type of success and do what they've done. The future looks a lot brighter for the Indians moving forward.
Well, I asked Terry Francona before the game, did your team exceed your expectations going into spring training? And he said he answered, the way he answered it was, I expected these players to play hard, and they have. And then the pitching was better than I think he expected.
Broken bat and a soft liner out to Escobar, and there's out number 2. And the Rays are an out away from advancing. Fernando Rodney, 2 2 up, 2 down with a K, and that's going to bring up Lonnie Chisenhall. A great run for the Cleveland Indians. Dramatic turnaround, a 24-win improvement. 69-94 was their record last year. Ties their greatest turnaround from one year to the next with the 1986 ball club. And they finished the season as the hottest team entering into this tournament. They won 10 consecutive games to finish the year, including a 4-game sweep on the road in Minnesota.
You just think what Tampa had to do. They had to beat a team that won 7 in a row. Then they get the prize to win a team that's won 10 in a row. Now, more than likely get to travel up to Boston and face the best team in the American League.
And a team that's well rested and has their rotation set up exactly the way they want it.
2 big hits tonight by the Tampa Bay Rays. Delman Young's homer. Desmond Jennings 2 RBI double. And the pitching has held up very well for the Rays. Chisenhall is late. 100-mile-an-hour fastball from Rodney.
Tampa Bay against Boston this year, 7-12.
Last time the Rays faced the Red Sox, Francona was the skipper in Boston. 2008, the ALCS. Tampa Bay beat him in 7 games. And there it is. Rodney strikes out Chisenhall, and the Tampa Bay Rays are moving on. They head to Boston as they win the wild card game. The Rays are headed to the American League Division Series, and their magical road trip continues. And it all comes to an end for the Cleveland Indians tonight.
Checking to see if Chewbacca made this trip.
Looks like Silly String is the order of the celebration tonight, as Joe Madden sees his Rays combine for a 9-hit shutout tonight. Rodney, not a save, but he finishes it out. And the Rays advance.
Tell you what, Cleveland had their chances. They put a strong fight. They had runners on. It seemed like in the middle part of the innings. You got to tip your hat to Alex Cobb and his ability to stay calm, get out of jams. Some big defensive plays. That double play turn was key. And even the pitches that were hittable, the Indians hit right at them.
Cleveland had 2 on, less than 2 outs 3 times. And shutout here tonight. Alex Cobb in his first postseason start is the winner. What a performance by the 25-year-old tonight, Joe.
He made pitches when he had to, like John was talking about the double play ball. I think about the pitch to Kipnis with 2nd and 3rd and 2 out. Made just excellent pitches when he had to for a guy 25 years old making his first postseason start. It was excellent.
And the guy who went the distance against the Rangers is the provider of the Silly String. They untuck him with the Rays. Boy, what a run this has been. And that pose by Rodney. Tampa Bay looks tough, and their starting pitching is well lined up. Matt Moore scheduled to start the opener in Boston on Friday. They'll follow that up with David Price.
It's a road trip that continues, and they're glad they are. They probably talked about Boston getting some clothes to try and finish out this long road trip that they weren't prepared for.
They're going to have to go shopping in Boston. But a great year for Cleveland. A team, like you said, John, that nobody really expected a lot from. Terry Francona did a great job with them.
And let's send it down to Rachel Nichols. Rachel?
With Desmond Jennings, and people have been asking you for the past couple days about your tight hamstring. It didn't look so tight tonight. How'd you feel out there?
I felt great. I got taken out. I didn't want to come out of the game, man, but you know, had to do what I had to do. But I felt great today.
This Rays team has come so far, literally, to get here since you left Tampa. 4 cities, more than 3,600 miles, and the road environments have just gotten tougher. How has this team been able to just keep winning as things have gotten more difficult?
I don't know, man. I feel like, I feel like we've done it. We've been here before, man. The road that we took to get here was pretty tough, going to New York and Toronto, and then having to play that game out in Texas. And then to come here in front of these fans, man, it's tough. But, I guess we was ready for it.
And now you got Boston. You go straight there. Best team here in the American League. What are you going to do when you meet them?
We go out and play our game. I mean, it's going to be tough anytime you play in Boston. There or at home, it's tough. So just got to go out and play our game.
Excellent. Well, we got your pitcher, Alex Cobb, over here, hero of the game.
Thank you.
Alex, you said going into this game that your adrenaline just kicked in pretty much after the last out in Texas on Monday night. How did you channel that into this game tonight?
I don't know. The adrenaline was definitely going pretty fast there in the early going of the game. Once Delman hit that home run and I had a little bit of a run to work with, I tried to fill out the strike zone. And, my stuff wasn't the best it's been, but I made my defense work, and they were awesome. Everybody in the infield contributed. Jose called a great game. He stuck with me the whole game. Knew stuff wasn't sharp, but he got really creative back there and made it work.
I mean, you're a guy who in the past few years actually had a rib taken out of your body. You had a line drive hit your head earlier this summer. You lost 2 months of your season. How do those experiences make you appreciate what happened tonight more?
You can't put into words the appreciation I have of celebrating out on this field. I knew how close it was to not coming back, and when I was sitting there on the couch watching these games, the team putting together all these wins this year, I knew we had a good chance. I knew we had a great team, and I was going to do everything I could to get back and be a part of it and feel this celebration that we're doing right now.
Well, you are a part of it. You did it tonight, and now your team is on to Boston. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, Brian, back to you.
All right, Rachel, thanks. It was the Stars on Monday that delivered the win. Longoria and Price, the young pups. Alex Cobb, Desmond Jennings tonight. The Rays are moving on. Final score, 4-0 Tampa Bay. They defeat the Indians in this American League wild card game. For Rachel Nichols, John Smoltz, and Joe Simpson, our producer Jay Cutlow, director Jim Lynch. I'm Brian Anderson. TBS is your exclusive home for the 2013 NL and AL Division Series and the National League Championship Series. Stay tuned. Postseason show on TBS presented by Johnny Walker. Remember to drink responsibly. Rays win. They're moving on.